Brad Keselowski's strategy so far has been to give no ground and match the five-time champ race for race in the chase. Been a terrific championship thus far. And now the semifinal round within the 43-car race today on the tough Phoenix International Raceway mile. One of the stories of this championship thus far has been Keselowski qualifying poorly and having to overcome the dangers of bad track position to try and keep matching Johnson stride for stride. Today, both of them are starting back in the soup.
Yeah, but I like where the two cars started. That's not a bad starting position. 14th, although he's starting on the outside. That's not too bad. And he doesn't have the pressure of having that 48 car on the pole up there and trying to close this gap all day and worry about trying to catch up. He's already in front of him. I think he can take his time. I think he's got a good enough car to get there and actually take the lead before we get to the end of this race, probably just by passing cars.
Yeah, and we've seen Jimmy Johnson do amazing things at this racetrack in passing cars coming back from adversity, but they are right in the middle. This racetrack is going to be at its very worst when this race starts as far as the level of grip. He's in a very vulnerable position back there. He's going to have to be careful, make sure that he doesn't make a mistake and the people around him aren't making mistakes. Oh yeah, by the way, only 2 of Jimmy Johnson's 60 victories have come whenever he started outside the top 20.
Well, they both have a big challenge ahead on what will be a very slick, slippery, difficult racetrack. This Phoenix Raceway reconfigured for this race a year ago. And by the way, talking about Keselowski having a car to drive to the front, one of the differences between the two in this championship so far, those bonus points for leading laps and leading the most laps. 4 of the 7-point gap between them in the championship are the 4 more bonus points Johnson has earned for those laps spent out in front. We'll find out how it all plays out today in Phoenix after we go trackside to get them fired up.
And now for the most famous words in motorsports, please welcome your Grand Marshals from AdvoCare, President and CEO Richard Wright, and Vice President of Distributor Relations, Sherry Wright.
Drivers, spark your engines!
Your wheel funny is right now, I can't see it.
A little product placement twist on tradition, and we are ready to go with the AdvoCare 500 at Phoenix, the second to last race of the season from one of the prettiest settings in sports. Our ESPN in-race reporter today, the always entertaining Clint Boyer. You never quite know what Clint's going to say. For example, last Sunday in Texas, when on the pace laps, he very humorously summed up his title prospects against Jimmy Johnson and Brad Keselowski.
We just got to pass this 48. It's just put 3 cars in front of me. Somehow put the distance in between him and the 2 and go back after this championship.
It's different than before, faster than before, but just as entertaining. It does work. Phoenix International Raceway, where race 9 of 10 in the chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup is set to begin in just moments. The field of cars about to roll out onto this mile racetrack to get underway. As we start the day, we look at the championship standings, preparing for the race, and how the drivers are in rank. Brought to you by Doomsday Preppers on National Graphic. You see the 7-point gap, Jimmy Johnson to Brad Keselowski. And then Clint Boyer, 36 points back, still in the hunt, but needing a little help to try and track down these top 2. That's how we prep for Phoenix. Brought to you by Doomsday Preppers. Clint Boyer, our ESPN in-race reporter for the day. Roll it out.
Hey Clint, Dale Jarrett here. You were so entertaining last week, had to bring you back, man. So our mailbag question comes from Mike in Albany, New York, and he's referring to your 3 wins and great season. He said, you've had a great first season with Michael Waltrip Racing and the 15 team, and arguably your best season yet in Sprint Cup racing. Did you ever think success would come so fast with a new team?
You know, there was a lot of potential there. Obviously, saw a lot of upside, but no, never in a million years would I think that it would all come together this early. Just really proud of everybody on this 5-iron-G Toyota, Brad, Patty, and all the guys on this 15 car doing a great job. We've come a long ways in a short amount of time. Like you said, 3 wins and you know, still compete for a championship. We've hit all of our goals. It's been a great year, a lot of fun so far. So it ain't done yet. Got 2 more to go. Big day right here in front of us.
Yeah, it is a big day, Clint. You still have a shot at this championship. Let's talk about this racetrack. We've seen a lot of things happening throughout the weekend, practice with crashes and things like that. This place is pretty treacherous today, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. This repave, this is a fun racetrack. One of my favorite racetracks, you know, of the year. So Since the repave, it's super, super slick. I think that today, it's a little bit harder than we've had in the practice sessions. It's going to be even worse today. You're going to have a good handle on your race car. You got to have that thing hung out and freed up to be good on a long run, but you can't have it too hung out to where they go by you on a restart. So just got to play your cards right, be better than the other guys, and hold on to this thing. Your restarts are going to be wild. You're going to see some action. I told Brad, he goes in 6th in the fence in the first lap. Be holding on, because I'm probably going to run right into him.
All right, Clint, thanks once again for talking with us. You have a great day now. Andy's going to talk to your crew chief, Brian Patty.
All right.
Hey, Brian Patty, Andy Petrie, glad you're with us again this week. Hey, got a question for you. We watched the race yesterday. Didn't seem like 4 tires really did much for the car, and we didn't see many of those yesterday. What will we see today with these cars?
Well, obviously, Cup cars have a lot more power than the Nationwide, but you're going to see everything. You're going to see people staying out. You're going to see people taking gas only toward the end. 2 tires, hell, about me left or right, but 4 tires whenever you need gas. So it's going to be quite entertaining. It's going to hopefully be on the winning end of the strategy today. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, it's always entertaining with playing in that race car, I'm sure. But hey, you've been a crew chief for a lot of different organizations and different series. And this is probably your best series, best season ever. What's different over there at Michael Waltrip Racing?
I don't know. It's hard to explain. It's just a great group full of racers from top to bottom, and that's what it takes here in this series. Make sure everybody's pulling in the right direction and all one direction. And we're doing that. We're doing it very well. It's great to have a driver that talks to you and understands how you're coming, where you're headed, and we're all on the same page, and that's key.
Okay, well, keep him on the same page today, Brian. Thanks for talking to us, buddy. Good luck.
Thanks, guys.
Our ESPN in-race reporters, Clint Boyer and his crew chief, Brian Patty, are over-the-wall camera today with J.D. Holcomb, the front tire carrier for Jeff Burton. Hoping for a great day today here at Phoenix. Have a good one, J.D. Burton's car will have to go to the back of the field for the start. They have had a couple of incidents this weekend. They're actually in the car they originally rolled out. They went to the backup, they went back to the primary. It's a long story. We'll get to it in a minute. I'll look at our high-definition onboard cameras. It'll take you inside the Phoenix action today. Brad Keselowski's got the Dodge on board.
Big picture, and have a great day, guys, on a pit road. Paul, great leadership down there. Thanks.
Sure, boss. I'll do my best for you to close this deal out.
There you go. The captain on the radio. Casey Kane has got the Sprint on board. Danica Patrick, the GoDaddy.com camera. Denny Hamlin, the fresh from Florida Gulf Seafood, on board with Tony Stewart carrying a GoDaddy.com camera. It's Clint Boyer with a 5-hour energy camera, and Jimmy Johnson with the Lowe's on board.
I'd like to say hello to all the veterans. Thank you for everything that you've done for us over all of the years fighting for our freedom. We appreciate it.
Echo that so much, Chad Knaus. And our final onboard camera, Dale Earnhardt Jr. is carrying the Chevy on board today. Stories from pit road. Here's Dave Burns.
Alan, Jimmy Johnson qualified 24th, so are they okay? Chad Knaus told me they left the car a lot like it was here in March when they led 55 laps and finished 4th. I believe they can hold their championship lead today. Vince Welch.
In a championship battle like this one, the smallest difference can make the biggest difference. And that's why no detail goes unlooked and uncovered. The pit box for the 2-car Brad Keselowski today, the same exact pit box he used in the Nationwide race yesterday, just an added bit of familiarity, enhanced by the fact Brad will have an open pit box on entry and exit that they believe can make the difference today. Alan?
Vince, thanks. 500 kilometers the distance, 312 laps on this 1-mile track. Keselowski starting back in 14th spot. Jimmy Johnson back in 24th. Green flag at Phoenix. Martin Truex Jr. sliding around on the outside in that 56. So Truex from 2nd on the start, now back to 7th. We saw that yesterday in the NASCAR Nationwide Series race here. That outside lane on starts and restarts is a little dicey.
Yeah, and this is the most that this racetrack has set without a car being on it nothing's happened here today. Expect this to be the most difficult time for these drivers to negotiate this place.
Yeah, it seems like that outside lane can work, but if you try to be aggressive out there, you lose every bit of the grip, and you saw it happen to Martin Truex.
And there's that dog leg on the back stretch, where now with that fresh paving on the inside, where one time before the reconfiguration there was grass and people cut the corner every now and then. Sometimes it works out better than others.
Yeah, it sure does. Yeah, it was an interesting spot yesterday. We even saw 2 cars at one time below that, so we'll see all kinds of action there today.
17-16, Kenseth and Biffle side by side.
Biffle just kind of tiptoeing out there, trying to make it work.
Yeah, he's one of those cars that's already been into the wall here this weekend. Trying his best not to make that happen again, but you have to be somewhat aggressive. You don't want to lose too many spots. Everybody gets down on the bottom. That's the only place that you can pass right now.
Kyle Busch leads. Denny Hamlin is second. Casey Kane is shuffled out third. There's Biffle getting wide, just like you were alluding to, and slipping back. 1, 2, 3 cars by, and maybe a fourth.
Yeah, not only do you lose those spots right then, but you go down to the next corner, your tires aren't cleaned off very well then, so you're going to have to kind of tiptoe through that part too.
Look back through the top 15. And Brad Keselowski in the 2, running in that 15th spot.
Yeah, he ran that first lap a little bit conservative. He was on the outside. I didn't see him really charge out there. Looks like he tried to see if he could hang on the outside of Logano for a lap. Didn't work, and he kind of just found a hole behind him and gave up a couple of spots.
That 56 car's got troubles. Martin Truex Jr. off the pace on the inside. Started on the front row.
It's almost like that engine's laid down. You can see it's just not pulling.
Yeah, the way that he kept
make
pace.
sure you're on both batteries.
He kept pace in the corners and was getting left on the straightaways.
I got 14 volts.
Yeah, they're trying to just diagnose what the issue might be. They're starting with the electrical. That's something they can switch. They can switch batteries, maybe help that. If it's internal, obviously they can't do anything about it. I thought I saw a little smoke there too.
In the race here back at the beginning of March, there were some engine problems on account of a couple teams, but it was very late in the race.
Yeah, that's very early. I mean, this is something that if they have a problem now, it was something brewing in practice.
Spot for Keselowski there, up to 13th around Carl Edwards. Marcos Ambrose in the 9, starting to work on the 99. Ambrose was one of the people who suffered an engine problem in that March 4th race. He was running 3rd in the closing laps, and it went away. Flint Boyer there in the 15, also in that fight for a spot. Get an update from the pits on what happened to Martin Truex Jr. Jamie, what are they saying?
Well, they're trying to figure that out right now, Alan, and Martin Truex just came on the radio and said, I'm getting slower and slower. What should I do? Chad Johnston, his crew chief, said, stay out as long as you can. Let's hope for a caution. And they're saying they're going to bring him in right now and diagnose it.
Yeah, that's just kind of shell shock. I mean, as the race starts, you don't expect to have an engine problem, but that thing came by here, and you could tell it was definitely on no more than 7 cylinders.
He had slipped back to 9th in the opening couple of laps, then this, and now Truex Jr. headed to the pit lane.
Yeah, it don't sound any better. So.
And that is a very tough break, a team that had a lot of high hopes for today. So here come your top 10 on the way through. Brad Keselowski in 13th, and with Jimmy Johnson running in 20th, remember that at basically 1 point per position in the race, that's what Keselowski needs to happen all race long to try and gain some ground on Johnson, if not move ahead of him, ahead into the final race of the season.
Yeah, I think it's extremely important if Brad Keselowski is really going to go to Homestead, a legitimate shot, that he finish in front of the 48. If that's just one spot, something that keeps him no more than those 7 points that he started this day behind.
By Joey Logano in the 20 for 12th spot.
This too was really good in practices yesterday. I expected to see him kind of take it easy here at the start, knowing how slippery this racetrack is going to be. But his car showed to be really good it was fast and really good in long runs.
Yeah, I talked to Paul Wolf in the garage this morning. He said he just almost wished he had another practice session because they made so much headway in each of the practices yesterday that he said he felt like he could have made it even better yet if they could have had another one, but he felt good about the car.
And as much as these two, Keselowski and Johnson, have gone toe-to-toe for the championship in these last couple of races, they're the two guys passing cars in these opening 14 laps of the race. Just underway with the AdvoCare 500 at Phoenix. Remind you to check out NASCAR.com/RaceBuddy and watch coverage live from Phoenix today by following your favorite drivers for free with 8 live camera views.
Jimmy Johnson heard from his crew that his lap times were just a couple of tenths off, so they will make a wedge and air pressure adjustment, change 2 left side tires, try to give Jimmy a little more comfort entering the corners. It was a little edgy on the first few laps as well. Vince Welch?
Brad Keselowski says it's just a little bit too tight. They're also going to clean the grill. Left side tires only, no other chassis changes. Oh, he stalled it as he was exiting the pits. Got to have a push.
And the 48 goes by him. Rusty Wallace said on NASCAR Countdown about mistakes. There was one.
That's a very small one, but it could lead to bigger things.
Yeah, that was a big mistake to me. I mean, he needed to get off there. He was the first car on pit road. He needed to be the first car off. That cost a lot.
Brad from 11th position on the racetrack was the first to break out of line and head to pit road. We have a very split strategy here. We'll talk more about who's where on the restart in just a minute. First, let's show you why we're under caution for the first time in this race. Mike Bliss in the 19.
We talked about how treacherous and tricky it is back there through that kink. Got to make sure you got room to come up.
Bliss was running in 39th at the time, and he has taken that car to the garage. So Johnson passing Keselowski with that just momentary hiccup on the pit stop. Brad came in 11th, Jimmy came in 19th. So that exchange of track position there as we get set to go back racing. All these cars at the front of the field did not pit on this caution flag, including Kyle Busch, has led all the laps so far.
Get a great run trying to go for the lead now.
Not quite there. He hangs on, Kyle Busch does. 16 cars did not pit under this first caution of the race. Now these guys who did pit, some of them with faster cars like Keselowski and Johnson and so on, are way back in the traffic.
Yeah, this is the risky part we're talking about. This track's still about a groove and a half wide, not a really good outside lane. Pretty hard making these passes.
You see, Brad has now gone in front of Jimmy. Jimmy restarted on the outside, Brad on the inside. That was probably the only good thing that happened for Keselowski in that exchange. 3 wide now down the front straightaway.
Yeah, he's going to get a 2-for-1 on this one.
Montoya and Ambrose. Yo, that's close.
Yeah, you got to watch race around that 42 now. He's pretty aggressive.
Now Jimmy Johnson to try and find a way through. Denny Hamlin, Casey Kane, second place, 11 and 5. So those that did not pit under the caution: Kyle Busch, Casey Kane, Denny Hamlin, Paul Menard, Eric Almirola, Kurt Busch, Tony Stewart, Jeff Gordon, Ryan Newman, Mark Martin, Regan Smith, Matt Kenseth, Clint Boyer, Jamie McMurray, Landon Castle, and David Reagan. Those are the guys that stayed on the track. Everybody else came down pit road.
Johnson still having trouble moving up through the pack. Hasn't really been able to make the pass. That move that Keselowski made off of 4 to get by Ambrose and Montoya at the same time really paid big benefits right there. But looks like Jimmy might be getting a little frustrated, Dave.
Well, they're not too frustrated, DJ. Interesting thing is, though, where Jimmy normally runs up front, he has a lot of time to think about what his car is doing and talk to his crew about it. But where he was running today and the quick decision Chad Knaus had to make led to this.
The comfort was coming to me, though, in the center. Stop.
Stop, we're pitting. I didn't mean to yell at you, but anyways. So let's get ready here. You're in good shape, buddy. We've, like I was saying, running good lap times. Leaders are blazing fast at 18 and 11. I don't know that we're going to have anything for them, but I think we can definitely get up there and battle for third.
Jimmy keeping his cool. Littler had to be interrupted by the crew chief so that they could make that split-second decision.
Yeah, sometimes that is frustrating. You know you've got to get on that radio, and when somebody else is on there, it's frustrating because you got to make that call quickly to get to pit road.
I'm sure Jimmy probably wasn't really planning on pitting. That kind of probably surprised him that early on that they were thinking about doing that. But looks like it could be a good strategy move for later on.
So Jimmy back running in the 20th position. He restarted 22nd. He restarted 20th. He's still running 20th. Brad Keselowski restarted 22nd, and Brad has moved up to 16th position. Now make it 15th as he passes Jamie McMurray. All this going on well behind the man who won every practice and won qualifying and is trying to win the race. Kyle Busch has led all the laps so far in the 18. Prettiest setting in sports, Phoenix International Raceway with the AdvoCare 500 underway. Make sure to go to NASCAR.com for all your latest NASCAR information. Kyle Busch has led all of the laps so far as we check out which driver you think will take first out of this week's top 4 qualifiers. Kyle, you know it won't be Martin Truex Jr., Denny Hamlin or Casey Kane. Text FAST to 34763 or go to attfastestdriver.com to play. You could have a chance to win 4 Gs by playing along in today's AT&T Fastest Driver Challenge. Every week you have a chance to make your pick and see where you stack up against the rest. You even have an advantage before you make your picks this week because you can eliminate one of the 3 pretty quickly. Truex Jr. back in the garage area after starting second today. Early engine troubles with the 56.
Looks like Keselowski's able to make some passes here with these fresher tires.
Racing Matt Kenseth here for the 12th position.
And what this will do for the 2 team is if this thing goes green all the way to the finish or to the end of these leaders' fuel tanks, they'll have to pit for fuel. He'll be able to stay out and lead a lap and get a bonus point.
Not only that, but have some time in there too that he could put some cars laps down and things like that if the caution should fly during that time. But he's really doing a nice job right now.
He's got a really good race car. You see him cut under Newman like that? Wow. And up to the 11th spot for Keselowski. Of course, last week in the race at Texas, we saw a little hiccup on pit road that they had to work to recover from.
He locked up the front brakes coming in his pit stall. You can see how deep he staged. Then Danica Patrick came in her pit stall, and he had to back up to get around her.
Cost them a number of spots, and then today, another little hiccup. Stalled at exiting the pit lane, lost a couple of spots. Not a lot, but a couple of spots in that momentary hesitation. He sure has charged forward, though, since the restart.
Yeah, he's passed 11 cars since the restart. We're talking about how hard it is to pass here, but he's not having much trouble at all.
Mark Martin just ahead of him in the 55. To borrow a phrase from the man that used to drive this 2-car, Vince, Brad Keselowski's flat flying.
He is indeed, and Paul Wolf told me this morning before the race they were a little concerned about the car being a little too tight in the center of the turns. That's what they've been fighting all weekend, and Brad said on that first run they were tight, but Paul Wolf made a slight air pressure adjustment on those left side tires. Car has really come to life, and BK's moving.
Another one there. And a very good start to the day for Keselowski in the deuce. Mention the man that started second back in the garage. Jamie has an update on Martin Truex Jr.
Yes, Alan, he crawled out of his car. I had a word with him. He told me it basically just blew up on the second lap. He said it just started, the engine started to eat itself, in his words. As you can see on the right side, they continue looking at it and diagnosing. Unfortunately for Martin, this is his second DNF this year, Alan.
Disappointing. He had high hopes for this race.
Yeah, that's the disappointing thing, is it really is disappointing, because he really felt like this was going to be his best chance to win a race in the chase.
Jimmy Johnson, after 15th place on Joey Logano.
Sit, my man. Take care of your stuff whenever you get an opportunity. No pressure, I'll back. Nice job. Get a deep breath. Nice and smooth. Watch the lap, sir. 27.42. Solid lap, man. On 5 times.
Yeah, Jimmy looked like maybe out there to that restart, besides being a little bit careful. His car might have been a little bit on the free side to start with. He's kind of took it easy, but really looks like this car is handling well now, Dave.
And DJ, when I asked Chad Knaus about yesterday's practice, how much were they fine-tuning and how much were they searching? And he said, we were playing around quite a bit, but we were trying things that we didn't know about. We knew a lot of things about this track, even in just 2 races, and it's the depth of their notebook which makes this team so good. So, in addition to what they knew would work here, they've got other things they practiced, and right now they have improved that 48 car.
And you see Jimmy moving up and trying to work his way toward the front after starting pretty deep in the pack in this race in 24th position. Couple of fast Toyotas at the head of the field. Both of them out of the Joe Gibbs Racing stables. Kyle Busch and Denny Hamlin running 1 and 2 at Phoenix. What a beautiful setting for a racetrack. Phoenix International Raceway in the Desert Mountains southwest of downtown. And a look from our aerial coverage today provided by Goodyear. From pit lane to victory lane, every NASCAR driver counts on Goodyear tires. Goodyear, the official tire of NASCAR. Spectacular Sunday afternoon here in the Valley of the Sun, and Monday night a spectacular night of football on ESPN. First at 6:30, Monday Night Countdown served by Applebee's. Then at 8:30, Jamal Charles continues his comeback season as he and the Chiefs face off against Ben Roethlisberger and the Steelers. Monday Night Football, Kansas City, Pittsburgh, tomorrow at 8:30 on ESPN. And trouble off of turn 4 has brought the yellow flag out again.
I tell you, this thing's narrowed up.
David Gilliland running as the last car on the lead lap in 34th position when that happened. Uh-oh.
Ooh, right front.
Oh, man, that's a bad feeling. Nothing you can do as a driver. Hang on and
wow.
Just feel fortunate you have that safer barrier out there this day and time. Takes a little away from the driver, but a really hard hit there. We'll probably see some issues. A lot of braking goes on at this racetrack, so if you're on them too much, you can melt the bead in that right front tire.
I said, uh-oh, because when we came up on that replay and I saw where he was on the track, you knew what was coming.
Yeah.
And that wasn't going to be pretty. Fortunately, David's driven the car back around. Pit road is open. And let's see what the strategy split is here. Dave, looks like most of them are coming in.
Chad asked Jimmy what he wanted to do. Jimmy put it back to Chad. They're going to go conservative, take on 4 tires. Jimmy's car a little free into turn, actually tight into turn 4, free into turn 1. They'll fill it with Sunoco fuel. Jamie.
And Denny Hamlin, race winner from the spring here, said he's tight rolling the center, 4 tires, chassis adjustment. You see the wrench in the back window there.
The 2-car Brad Keselowski, they discussed the possibility of staying out as compared to going with 2 tires or 4. Paul Wolf made the call, 4 tires for Brad Keselowski, no changes. Doc?
Kyle Busch has led all 53 laps thus far, so a little bit tight in the middle, otherwise the car really, really good. 4 tires, topping off with Sunoco fuel. He is down and away, but Mark Martin will beat him off of pit road.
Look at that rush to the end of pit road. And a little strategy being played up at the front of the pack. Mark Martin goes to the lead, up 10 spots after just a 2-tire change on the double 5. It's beautiful country, the desert Southwest surrounding Phoenix, Arizona. And a look at the Milo's race tracker, helping us remember the great history of NASCAR racing here at Phoenix. It was 1964. They laid out this mile oval and they started racing open wheel cars. A.J. Foyt, the first winner. Some pretty good history. And the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series joining the Speedway's roster of events in 1998. And who will ever forget Alan Kulwicki winning that first event, his first Sprint Cup win, and spinning around the other way and doing what he himself labeled the Polish victory lap. What a great scene it was that day here in Phoenix.
Certainly was, no doubt about that.
Looking for another great scene today on a beautiful afternoon. I say 98, I meant 88. As you look at the cleanup continuing here at Phoenix after the second caution of the race brought out when David Gilliland dropped the right front and pounded the wall off of turn number 4. Travis Kvapil's the leader. David Reagan is second. They've not stopped under this caution. Mark Martin first off the pit lane. He's running third. Martin, Montoya, Jeff Burton, Kevin Harvick, and Carl Edwards taking just right side tires and gaining some track position there. Brad Keselowski's team debated to just take rights or get all 4 just before pitting.
We don't even have 50 green on the right. Most in front of us will, just because of the fuel situation.
Yeah, 10-4, but my car's still good here. I hate to take any chances with putting 2 on and getting run over or blowing something out.
All right, 10-4. We're just giving you the options we got.
Understood.
Yeah, I mean, that's just good sound decision. It's nice having somebody that, like Keselowski in there, helping him with this decision a little bit. He knows how hard he's been running the car.
Let's talk a little strategy from the other side of the championship, Dave.
Chad Canales has his driver running 19th right now. Chad, how do you rate the progress so far?
I think pretty good. I think we're running pretty well. I think we could definitely be faster to get up with some of those Toyotas, but I think Lowe's Chevrolet's running really well today, and long ways to go.
You talked about 0.2 faster. Can you adjust that in, or does he need to adjust his mind?
I have no idea what you just said, but get ready to go green. I think we're going to get a good day out of this.
It's important letting them get back to business here because Chad, from where he sits down here in his pit stall, he calls the green for him today, guys.
48 car pitting on the turn 4 end of the pit lane today.
Yeah, most of the time the spotter will call the green flag, but here the spotters are down in the middle of 1 and 2. They can't really see the green flag that well, and with their pit stall right there on the front straightaway, Chad's got a good view.
Yeah, and Andy, I'm going to bring up a point you just made, that 48, where he's pitting. That's going to give the 2 somewhat of an advantage. They're going to know everything that 48 is doing before they ever get to their pit stall. So if they get in 2, that probably will determine sometimes as to what they may do.
Yeah, that is an advantage because he'll already know. Paul Wolf will know what they're doing. Plenty of time to change his strategy.
Kvapil and Reagan have pitted late in the caution. Mark Martin with the 2-tire call from 11th to 1st on the pit stop. David Stremme the free pass. And we go racing once again. Kyle Busch back to the front.
Situation when Keselowski has such a good race car and he wants to make some ground up. You can see he was stuck on the outside there. Have to be careful not to overdrive, especially into 3. He did a great job of taking that spot away from the board.
Casey Kane, Kurt Busch, 5 and 78. Kane slides through, picks up a spot. That's 9th place. There's Kevin Harvick and Aric Almirola, 29 and 43.
Now, Harvick got 2 tires on that last stop, trying to get them some track position, see what they really may have in this race car today. Almirola, once again, doing a very nice job.
Yeah, tremendous.
Gordon really working on the back bumper of Keselowski now. Trying to get the spot. He gets it.
Yeah, I don't know if Brad slipped going into that corner, but sure allowed Gordon to get on his bumper.
One up wide in front of Keselowski. It's Montoya in the 42. Kept it off the wall.
As a championship contender, you can see all of those things happening, just wondering what may happen. Will it get it back under control before you get there?
That's that pins and needles thing we were talking about earlier. See your whole championship and your whole year's effort disappear with that car sliding back across the racetrack in front of you if he spins. So Kyle Busch has led all but 6 laps of this race. Mark Martin is second, Denny Hamlin third, Paul Menard fourth, Jeff Burton runs fifth. Rest of the top 10, Almirola, Harvick, Kane, Montoya, and Kurt Busch. And the championship top 3 actually, nose to tail.
Yeah, Jimmy's done a nice job charging up through this time. I think this car's better on this restart than what it has been in the past. That has to be encouraging that he was able to pass some cars and get up and see this 2 car.
Johnson's picked up 5 positions since the restart. And Keselowski going to go back to work on the inside of this Jeff Gordon machine, Vince.
One of the concerns for Brad Keselowski prior to that most recent pit stop is he said he felt like he was driving a little bit too much on the right front. Everybody being very cautious about the wear on the right front. And they talked about maybe 2 tires on that stop, and Brad said, I think we ought to go 4 because I'm concerned about the wear and the heaviness on that right front tire. I talked with Paul Wolf, the crew chief, as he looked at those tires. He said the right front looked good, and they reassured Brad of that as well.
Little moment there in the corner.
Ooh, most definitely.
A little stack up right there. Looks like Jimmy was got the worst of that.
Had to jump out of the gas to keep from running into the 2. When the 2 jumped out of the gas, it looked like.
Yeah, he was working on Jeff Gordon, and looked like Jeff kind of got held up a little bit by the 42, and it kind of just stacked up, and then Jimmy was the one that had to basically yield.
Lap 2 laps ago now, the view from Clint Boyer at that little accordion effect.
Pressure out back. They're bottlenecking on him.
Yeah, the door kind of opened nicely for Clint Boyer there to take that spot away from Jimmy Johnson. Jimmy had to kind of swerve to the right to avoid from running over the 2 car.
Like Brad had to take Montoya on the outside.
Casey Kane picking up a spot. 5 car moving ahead of Kevin Harvick. 7th place. Kane, the defending winner of this race. So Kyle Busch has put a pretty good gap on Mark Martin, the 2nd place car. There's the gap, 1st to 2nd, Denny Hamlin, Paul Menard running 3rd and 4th. And a tremendous story running in 5th position. Jeff Burton, to borrow a line from one of our colleagues, had to go to the back of the field for going back to his original race car for the weekend, Jamie, but they've played a little strategy and gotten it up into the top 5.
Yes, they have, and what a weekend it has been. First practice on Friday, he put it in the wall. They brought out the backup car. Yesterday morning in practice, he put it in the wall. They had to repair the primary. That's the car you see on the screen there, the number 31. Started in the back today, took 4 tires on the first stop, and the last stop took left sides only. He's driving his way up there, Alan. Very impressive run for Jeff Burton.
It's been quite the weekend.
I mean, if you go back to the primary, shouldn't you have to go? You shouldn't have to go to the front of the field. That's what he's done so far. He's in 5th.
Everybody chasing Kyle Busch in this race. He's been dominant so far.
Keselowski came in for a lap 18 pit stop, but stalled it. Came in 11th, went back out 23rd, but Rusty made up a lot of ground on the track. He's very fast.
He did, Nicole. He's made up a lot of ground, but he did make a mistake, and they got to stop making these mistakes if they're going to win this championship. But he is all the way back up to 11th right now. He's got a really fast car.
Jimmy Johnson also started this day a little back in the field, started 24th, but he's currently in 13th.
Yeah, showing a lot of patience and also had a great pit stop, took advantage of the opportunity, took advantage of the mistake of Brad Keselowski, and now has got himself just outside of that top 10.
Those 2 guys fighting for every position on the track. because the championship, every point matters. They're only separated by 7. There is Brad Keselowski trying to get around the 29 of Kevin Harvick. Earlier in the day, we were talking a lot about the best of the rest in terms of the guys who aren't necessarily involved in the chase.
I've got a good race going on right here. Brad Keselowski, Kevin Harvick, Clint Boyer. Brad gets the best of them, advances his position, moves up into that 10th spot. Brad Keselowski has really got this car hooked up.
Back to the best of the rest. We were talking about Kyle Busch. Came in here this weekend, won practice, was the fastest in qualifying, and he has led a whole lot of laps out there today.
Yeah, he's had an incredible car. Set a new track record under 26 seconds in a 25-second bracket, and that car has not. So that is a strong force. If that thing stays under him all day long, we're really going to see something.
And it's not just Kyle Busch. Denny Hamlin is in 2nd, so both JGR cars doing well. Joey Logano back in 14th as well. But how about Paul Menard in 3rd?
Paul Menard's doing an outstanding job. Richard Childress Racing announced or got the information yesterday or this weekend. Kevin Harvick's going to be moving on next year. This young man has been steady this season. They've struggled some with performance, but today he's having a really strong run, doing an outstanding job, Paul Menard.
Perhaps no surprise that Mark Martin is running in the top 5, but he's running 4th, and you say that car is gorgeous.
Yeah, that car is an amazing car. I went down at the garage area and talked to these guys about this car. This is a brand new Michael Waltrip designed car over there, low center of gravity car. They say this is the first car of this design, and it's just a beautiful race car. I looked under the hood and looked inside. Oh my gosh, looks like a show car. And they're really pumped up with Mark Martin. They like his leadership. They like what's going on down there. But I personally really like that car.
And I personally would like to point out the driver who's in 5th right now, right? That's Eric Almirola.
Yeah, this kid is really doing an amazing job. You know, give a little love out to the Kings car, and Sam Johnson, that group over there have been moving things around. This car's been running up front week after week. We thought we were going to see him get his first win a couple weeks ago. I think if they keep doing what they're doing, Eric Almirola will go to victory lane.
Yep.
Back up front, Kyle Busch has a 4.5-second lead, but perhaps a bit of trouble. Trash on the grill. We will update the status of that 18 car when we come back. 84 laps complete at Phoenix International Raceway. Kyle Busch in the 18 car out front.
Through a quarter distance of today's AdvoCare 500 for the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series at Phoenix. And we look down from our aerial coverage provided by Goodyear. From pit lane to victory lane, every NASCAR driver counts on Goodyear tires. Goodyear, the official tire of NASCAR. And check out NASCAR.com/RaceBuddy to watch coverage live from Phoenix by following your favorite drivers for free with 8 live camera views. Like this one from Danica Patrick's car, looking back on race leader Kyle Busch. Danica last on the lead lap in 30th place. And Kyle with an unwanted passenger in the grill opening of that 18 car. Little trash on the grill there, Doc. They talking about any overheating or temperature?
Well, Kyle's keeping an eye on the temperature gauges, but Dave Rogers, the crew chief, just told Kyle, hey, turn your fans off and get the trash to come off. He did just turn the fans off, but all the trash did was drop down. It didn't come off the grill. So now what's happening is their spotter is talking to other cars, driver spotters, and saying we may want to use some people to get it off. He was going to use the 10 car, opted not to. He said if all else fails, what we may have to do is wait on the 11 car and use our teammate, Denny Hamlin. But right now, the temperatures are okay, but they're watching it very closely.
Yeah, his teammate's still almost 3 seconds back. I think I would try to get with one of these lap cars. He really missed a good opportunity there with the 10 car to just ride on the straightaway with that fan off and let that piece of trash kind of fall off of there.
Yeah, that looked like a pretty substantial piece that's on there, and it's almost like that it's been there so long it's kind of got embedded in that screen somewhat, and could be difficult to get off.
Kyle doesn't seem to be too concerned about it.
It hasn't slowed him down any. So Kyle Busch continuing to lead. Jeff Burton sliding back a bit, was running 5th a little while ago. Now he's just given up 10th place to Kevin Harvick. Of course, Harvick, it was reported this weekend by ESPN's Marty Smith that Harvick would be going to the Stewart-Haas Racing team for the 2014 NASCAR Sprint Cup season. Will be driving this 29 car for Richard Childress Racing in next season, 2013. All of the parties involved, from Tony Stewart to Richard Childress to Kevin Harvick, had no further comment on the story. And right now, Dave Harvick is trying to hang on to this track position. The team worked a little strategy to help get.
Yeah, they took 2 lefts the first time he stopped and then 2 rights the second time he stopped, but they really don't think have improved the speed much. He's lost position since the restart here. The car has been mostly difficult to turn, and they popped a spring rubber into the right rear spring the last time to try to correct that.
It's good to see him having somewhat of a decent day here. And Kevin's really good here. You see Burton there running 11th. Got all 3 RCR cars in the top 11. We haven't had a chance to see that much this year.
No. Clint Boyer right behind Jeff Burton. Clint running in 12th position, and Jimmy Johnson running in 13th position. We talked about Johnson and Keselowski's relative positions on pit road, with Johnson at the turn 4 end of the pit lane. Now let's talk about another relative position. Most times at the racetrack, the spotters that are up on the roof to help the driver for both safety and helping him clear other cars around are located in the middle of the front stretch. Here at Phoenix, they're on the grandstand down in the middle of turns 1 and 2, and that can sometimes present some problems like this.
Earl, do you have a difficulty clearing him here, let's say off of turn 4 to the start-finish line? Yeah, he's coming right at me, so I'm just trying to be sure. Okay, let's do this. If it's a situation like on a restart or when it's tight like that, I'll take it off of turn 4 to the start-finish line, because we had a couple opportunities there where we could have gotten down and been clear.
I'll tell you, you're gonna have to be careful with that, though. I've spotted from the roof here before, and I've also been on pit road. And I know that on pit road, sometimes it's frustrating when you see an opportunity missed that you could have maybe slid in a hole. But it's hard to be down low and try to call a car clear anywhere on this racetrack, and I'd be careful doing that.
So keep an eye on that for action after the next restart with Jimmy Johnson and Chad Knaus and the spotter Earl Barber. Now it looks like Kyle Busch has managed to clear a good bit of that trash from the grill of the 18 car as he runs in traffic.
Yeah, that looks like something that's more manageable. You can see he gets right up behind.
There it goes.
Yeah, a lot of it went. So should be in good shape from this point on.
He's been in good shape all race so far.
Yeah, I'd say.
A little trash on the grill's been about the only thing that's caused any concern for the 18. 95 of 101 laps led by the Las Vegas native Kyle Busch. After last year's tiebreaker necessary championship in the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series, Jimmy Johnson and Brad Keselowski have really stepped it up in the 2012 version of the chase. Trading blows back and forth. We've used the phrase a couple of times, like a heavyweight boxing match going toe-to-toe. And it looks like they're setting up to do it again today here in round 9 of the chase in Phoenix. Keselowski has moved up to the 7th position in this race. Johnson following him up through the pack. Jimmy running in 13th. We check in on both teams.
Welcome to the single digits. First 2 back. Let's go get the 24. You guys are moving forward here. Got some open air here, nice and smooth. We'll move forward.
Joey Meyer talking to his driver, Brad Keselowski, who continues to move forward. Jimmy Johnson also slicing his way up through some of the traffic. Trying to get 12th position from Jeff Burton. Remember, Jimmy started way back in 24th place.
Hey, talk about the intensity, and it's just, you know, what makes it so intense is just how hard you've had to run in this chase, and knowing that if you don't finish somewhere right around the top 5, you're going to lose a significant amount of points.
And Andy, you were talking earlier in the weekend about just how intense the championship seems to be this year.
Yeah, it does. It seems like the last couple of years, it's just been, you have to really step it up to be a champion now. Because people like Jimmy Johnson and Brad Keselowski, what they're doing is just heroic. We saw the same thing last year with Tony Stewart and Carl Edwards. There's Jeff Burton, Jamie.
He said he was feeling a vibration. They said they were pretty close to getting ready to pit anyway, so they brought him down pit road. He said, I need a tear off. I cannot see out of the windshield. They're starting to get a lot of glare with the sun going down, guys.
Yeah, and that's only going to get worse as this day goes on, especially that glare down into turn 1 as the sun starts to set here. These drivers will face something that makes it very difficult at this racetrack as they enter that turn 1, literally getting to where they can't see the cars that are in front of them at times.
At one point in this run, Kyle Busch had a 3.5-second lead over Denny Hamlin. Now it's 0.35 seconds between the 18 and the 11.
Yeah, Denny Hamlin not having any problem seeing the leader now.
Yeah.
Got him right where he wants him.
Yeah, seeing the other couple of runs that we've had, Denny's car looks to be a little bit better in that longer run, and he's really able to maneuver around traffic better than what Kyle has been able to.
I think Kyle got distracted a little bit with that crash on the grill, lost some of his lead there, but I do believe that Hamlin has a little better car at this point.
Chris Denny, the most recent NASCAR Sprint Cup Series winner here at Phoenix International Raceway, took the race back on March the 4th, running the final 84 laps on fuel. Remember that number, he did stretch it, might come into play later as we check out our Mobile One telemetry. 162 miles an hour into that hard left turn one.
Yeah, and you see how much slower they're going in the middle of the corner, down almost 100 miles an hour, and that's where that heat comes from. They have to use a lot of brake getting in the corner, and that heat kind of takes its toll on that bead of that right front tire. You saw a caution come out earlier just for that.
Pretty good hot rod, this 11 car today, Jamie, running second in closing.
Absolutely. He's actually been on both ends of the spectrum. Early on, he was too tight, so they went up on the track bar. Now he's saying he's too free to be comfortable. But keep in mind, Crew Chief Darian Grubb said even though we won here in the spring, today we expect to be better. This car is better.
He might be uncomfortable as far as the feeling of it, but it's pretty fast, and I'm sure he's probably going to adapt to that somewhat. They might make a slight adjustment. I don't think they can make too much of this.
From what I'm seeing, that'd make it a little more uncomfortable.
Hamlin trying to track down Kyle Busch and pass him for the lead, something no one's done under green yet today. And green flag pit stops coming if we don't see the yellow flag in about the next 5 to 7 laps. Well, those linemen are getting set to go to work as green flag pit stops get underway here at Phoenix International Raceway with a new leader out in front of the field. Denny Hamlin has gone around Kyle Busch a few laps ago and has gone to the #1 spot.
You can see Kyle had been struggling a little bit. Denny had been trying to set him up. Makes a run here through the center of the corner. This is where Denny Hamlin's car is really the better car right now. It's through the center and on the exit of the corner. Carries a lot of speed down the straightaway. Kyle's actually falling back to 4th right now. 5th now. His brother passed him.
Yeah, Kyle really slowing down at the end of this long green flag run. All the leaders pitted at lap 53. We've been green since. And now beginning to see some trickle onto the pit lane. We've seen Kevin Harvick, Bobby Labonte, Juan Pablo Montoya, Mark Martin, Dave Blaney onto the pit lane. And now from second place, Paul Menard's in.
His team saw a good omen when they finished happy hour with a final lap time of 27.27 seconds. This car right now, they said, leave it alone. It's that good for Paul Menard, 4 tires.
Dale Earnhardt Jr. in the 88 saying really tight center. He needs some help to get this car better. 4 tires was the call.
Jamie McMurray, Carl Edwards also on the pit lane under the green flag. There's Carl, Jamie.
And Carl Edwards wants some help on his car. He said, we're a half second slower than we were in practice. They're going to try 4 tires here as they work on the left-hand side to better this 99.
Great run for Kurt Busch today. Top 5 before they all started pitting. They'll pit for 4 tires, a track bar, and air pressure adjustment. Kurt saying the car won't turn in the center of the corner, and off of the corner is just a little bit loose.
Here's the 16 of Greg Biffle. This is a car that was wrecked earlier in the weekend. The team repaired it, did not have to go to a backup. He's fighting the fact that he just doesn't feel like he has any grip. Says he's doing all he can. 4 tires and air pressure adjustment for the 16 of Greg Biffle.
Dave? Top 10 run for Eric Almirola. Takes a temporary pause to come on to pit lane. They took on 4 tires, gave him a track bar adjustment for a car that was loose in, tight from the center off the corner.
And there's Kyle Busch, who has led so much of this race and fallen back a good number of positions late in this long green flag run, coming in for what's a much needed pit stop.
And what Kyle said was that the car doesn't feel any difference. It maybe it's just a bit snug, but that's the only difference he felt when the 11 car went by. They made the call, 4 tires, no changes, topping up with no fuel, and he's away for a scheduled stop.
And Denny Hamlin now from the lead will head down onto the pit lane. 45 miles an hour, the pit road speed limit today. That's Marcos Ambrose, who just slid into his box ahead of Denny. And Hamlin works to the attention of the Joe Gibbs Racing team, Jamie.
Well, I reported how he was feeling uncomfortable. Funny how when you take the lead, all of a sudden the car is fine. No more issues anymore. The call is 4 tires. They'll fill them up with fuel. And the 24, Jeff Gordon making his way down as they continue to work on Denny Hamlin. Solid stop for him. Jeff Gordon's car had been pretty good chassis adjustment. You saw it there. 4 tires once again for the 24.
Notice up the top of the screen there, Jamie, Brad Keselowski, leader. Staying on the racetrack longer than everyone else. 1 bonus point toward the championship for leading a lap for Brad Keselowski. Jimmy Johnson has yet to lead today. There's Matt Kenseth, Dave.
He had been running 17th, Alan, complaining that his car got tighter the longer he ran. They will make a chassis and an air pressure adjustment for him as they change 4 tires and fill up full of Sunoco fuel. Vince?
The 39 of Ryan Newman is in, using a new new front tire changer today. That's Mark Armstrong, their normal tire changer, out with an injury. Car just a little bit too tight. It starts off good, but gets too tight late in the run. They make a chassis adjustment and 4 tire change for Ryan Newman.
So fascinating here, not yet pitting on this cycle of stops. Brad Keselowski and Jimmy Johnson running 1 and 2. Can the 48 outlast the 2 and get that bonus point evened up?
Well, if I was Paul Wolfe, I'd see just how long that he could run out there and not come down pit road and give Jimmy Johnson that point.
Pitting, we're going to be pitting here.
Clint Boyer's in, Dave.
Think about your entrance all the way around the corner.
The reporter described his car as plowing. He will get an adjustment for that and 4 fresh tires as you see Keselowski now making his way down pit road. Vince.
The 2 of Brad Keselowski. He says he's been fighting a little bit of tight in the center and some rollover on the right rear. They've talked about putting a round in the right rear or maybe a track bar adjustment. But Keselowski said that when the car got into clean air, it felt a lot better. So they had a little discussion between driver and crew chief about what kind of changes they might want to make. Brad says if you do anything with the chassis, make it very minor. At this point, no chassis adjustments, 4 tire change, Sunoco fuel for the 2 of Brad Keselowski.
Now, Jimmy Johnson has not yet officially led a lap. Here he is on pit road, Dave.
They were trying to do it, but the only guy in their way, that 2 car. Jimmy complaining this time that he needs more grip under power. The car felt a little bit the same as it was last time. You see the wrench in the rear. He'll get a wedge adjustment on the left side. 4 fresh tires for Johnson.
And he is not going to lead a lap on this cycle of pit stops. Denny Hamlin has gone by on the track and reassumed the race lead. Talked about the 7-point difference starting the day between Keselowski and Johnson. 4 of those were bonus points for winning races, leading laps, and leading the most laps. Put 1 in the 2 corner today. Put the 11 in the number 1 spot on the scoreboard. What a spectacular afternoon in the Valley of the Sun for the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series AdvoCare 500. And race fans, check out NASCAR.com/RaceBuddy to watch coverage from today's Phoenix race live by following your favorite drivers for free with 8 live camera views. Just 2 cautions in the race so far. Kyle Busch has been dominant, but late in a long green flag run. Denny Hamlin shot by him, and after an exchange of pit stops, Hamlin has a 1.2-second lead over Paul Menard with Kyle Busch in 3rd, 2.7 seconds behind. Other stories on the day. Martin Truex Jr. went to the garage early after starting 2nd with an engine problem, and the top 2 in the championship after starting 14th and 24th have moved their way up. Brad Keselowski running in 4th position, and Jimmy Johnson running in 9th position with still more than half the race to go. So in that cycle of pit stops, we saw both Keselowski and Johnson stay out longer trying to lead a lap after the guys in front of them pitted to get a bonus point toward the championship. Keselowski was able to do so and at the same time keep Johnson from doing so. That Jimmy's fuel mileage range.
Yeah, but Brad had an 8-second lead on Jimmy Johnson. That's why he was able to do that. And you can see Brad crossing the start-finish line here on pit road, but Jimmy Johnson has not got there in time yet. So that's having that big lead.
And here's the other key. You think, well, Jimmy may lead at the next lap and he comes back, but he's pitting short of the start-finish line. He's actually over in this section. He cannot get to the start-finish line before the cycle finishes with, I believe it was Denny Hamlin leading at the time.
Denny Hamlin came by on the racetrack while Jimmy was making his pit stop, so 1 bonus point for Keselowski today. Johnson still to even that tally. Also make mention that Kurt Busch made 2 pit stops in that cycle and has fallen from 4th position back to 26th.
Yeah, apparently ran over something, maybe going back out of the pits and had to come back in and maybe had a right rear flat, and so very unfortunate. Had a great run going, but now it's a lap down.
Let's get more on that 78, Dave.
Team just told me, guys, that they had a loose right front wheel, so all that quick work on pit lane sometimes leaves things a little amiss, and that was the case. Kurt had to come back down pit road because he felt that vibration in the right front.
So there, Kurt falling from 4th position all the way back a lap down into 26th place. A lot of race to go, though, to try and get that free pass and get back in the mix. Kurt is 1, 2, 3, 4. He's the 5th car, 1 lap down at this point. So, Kyle Busch dominated the first third of the race. Long run, short run difference between Denny Hamlin's car and Busch's allowed Hamlin to go by just before the cycle of pit stops. And now it is the March race winner here, Denny Hamlin, who's in command. If you like that numerology thing, maybe it's the 11's day. It is 11-11 after all.
Yeah, I kind of like him here, whatever day that may be. But, yeah, Denny does such a really good job in this type of racetrack. Where we talk about a lot of braking, Denny is really good at modulating the braking and not overusing that, which builds up air pressure in the front tires and getting his car out of shape, letting the chassis work. And he's so good with the throttle, and that's why he excels at these type of places.
And, of course, the flatter oval tracks are what Denny Hamlin learned his stock car racing on. South Boston, Virginia, and Southside Speedway in Richmond and so on. And in his Sprint Cup career, we've seen him excel at places like Phoenix and Richmond and New Hampshire and Martinsville, where that throttle modulation is so critical.
Yeah, it really is. We've seen him, we've seen that from the very beginning, and we've started to see this year in particular where the 1.5 and 2-mile racetracks, he's starting to excel there too. So he's getting the whole package put together as a driver who has contended for championships, doesn't have that yet, but really not the driver's fault. It's been mechanical issues that's kept this team from being right there and challenging.
It was March 4th, 2012, second race of this season. Denny Hamlin got the lead on a late restart, stretched his fuel the final 84 laps, and scored his first win of this season. Coverage of Monday Night Football continues on ESPN. First at 6:30, Monday Night Countdown, served by Applebee's. Then at 8:30, Jamal Charles continues his comeback season as he and the Chiefs face off against Ben Roethlisberger and the Steelers. Monday Night Football, Kansas City and Pittsburgh tomorrow at 8:30 on ESPN.
Can't say a lot of good things about the Chiefs, but their kicker's been outstanding. He's from Hickory High School in Hickory, North Carolina.
Really?
Ryan Suckup does a great job.
I take it you're familiar with him also being from Hickory, North Carolina? Well, he's been awesome. Denny Hamlin has been pretty tremendous in this middle section of the races. We're just across halfway today here at Phoenix International Raceway. Let's go up to speed, check in on some of the front runners and their progress on the day. We start with Denny Hamlin and Jamie Little.
Well, and you mentioned that numerology deal, the 11 car racing on 11-11. Well, the team told me it would be huge to win today on this date because it is Veterans Day, and FedEx employs many veterans throughout the country. They want nothing more than to thank them in victory lane. Right now, the car a little tight, Dave.
I told you about Paul Menard's crew and their good omen of a 27-27. Well, how about the tire test done here at Phoenix International Raceway for Goodyear the Tuesday and Wednesday after Kansas? Crew Chief Slugger Labby told me they learned a lot on the 2013 car that they applied to this car in the shock and spring package area. Doc?
Back in third, Kyle Busch trying to make a statement this weekend. He was the fastest car in all 3 practice sections, won the pole, and led all but 6 of the first 100 laps. Then the car got tight. That's when the teammate of the 11 car, Denny Hamlin, went by. Last pit stop, they took a rubber out of the left rear, and now Kyle said, wow, this car rolling much better. Vince.
The 2-car of Brad Keselowski. He has lost 14 points in the last 2 weeks. He went from 7 points in the lead over Jimmy Johnson to 7 points behind coming into this race. They know they couldn't afford to lose any more points today, and so far Keselowski is taking care of business. Car a little loose in the dirty air going into 1. That's their only issue. Jamie?
Behind him, the 24, Jeff Gordon started this race 11th. This is the first time he's been in the top 5 today. Definitely been making progress on the changes. Jeff right now saying on the radio, a little bit loose under braking. Vince?
The 5 of Casey Kane coming off that disappointing 25th place finish last week at Texas. Still had outside chances of maybe getting in the mix for the championship prior to that disappointing day. It's been much better today, although Kane says it's a little bit too tight for his liking, otherwise pretty solid. Dave?
Kevin Harvick qualified 19th on the day. I asked his crew chief, Gil Martin, if he had a top 10 car. He said, well, one thing I know for sure, I've always got a top 10 driver, and they continue to run in that position. Behind him, the 43 of Eric Almirola. His car is running so well today. He'd like another top 5 finish like he got a couple of weeks ago at Martinsville, matching his career best. As for the championship leader starting the day, 48th of Jimmy Johnson, they've made his car better. The 9th position that he runs in is better than the 12th he was running in before everyone started pitting last time. And as for Clint Boyer, our in-race reporter today, the car was actually loose on the first run. They've got to get some of that back because right now, the 15 car continues not to turn for its driver. Alan?
Dave, thanks. So there's an update on the top 10 as they run a little bit past halfway today here at Phoenix. And that as they run championship standing, you can't get much closer. Johnson and Keselowski separated by a point. That'll change here as Jimmy gets by Eric Almirola to pick up a spot. Denny Hamlin is the leader in chase race number 9 from Phoenix as we go NASCAR nonstop from ESPN.
Pit stops happening at the Phoenix International Raceway. Championship leader Jimmy Johnson is going to give up 8th position for a 4-tire stop and a chassis adjustment. Jimmy complaining his car is a little bit edgy to the center. They want to tighten it up just a little bit. Jamie?
Denny Hamlin pits from the lead, saying a little bit too tight now, but closer to how they want to be. It was left sides only, Vince.
Brad Keselowski, upper right-hand side of your screen. It's a little loose going into 1. That's the only issue he has. They're going to make a slight air pressure adjustment, 4 tires. Doc?
Left side tires for Kyle Busch, and he beats Denny Hamlin off of pit road. Kyle said the car much better with that rubber now out of the left rear.
Got to be another strategy session here. The championship top 2 taking 4 tires. You see plenty of others choosing to change just 2 of them. Interesting, just the left side tire change also for Kyle Busch and Denny Hamlin.
Yeah, I think we saw some of that in practice where the left side tires actually grain up after a long run. That's probably what happened to Kyle Busch when he lost the lead earlier, and I'm sure that's what they saw. Decided to take, when they're going to take 2, they'll take lefts.
And you saw the caution come out in NASCAR nonstop. Debris reported high in turn number 4. The reason for the 3rd yellow of today's race. Working the caution flag at Phoenix International Raceway in the 9th race in the chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup. A chase that's come down to essentially 2 drivers. The 5-time champ Jimmy Johnson and Brad Keselowski trying to win Roger Penske his first championship. There have been some small hiccups along the way. 2 cars stalling leaving pit road earlier today. Jimmy Johnson starting back in 24th position, but they both raced their way up into the top 10 in this race and continue their toe-to-toe slugfest for the NASCAR Sprint Cup title that figures to go down to the late laps at Homestead Miami Speedway next Sunday afternoon. Let's take an inside look and get unlimited access to the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series, brought to you by the NASCAR Sprint Cup mobile app and truly unlimited data on the Sprint Network. Jimmy Johnson's team with the fastest 4-tire pit stop so far today, and that is a pretty fast stop. As a driver, you love that. And the fastest speed today, turned by Brad Keselowski. At a little better than 134 miles an hour. Get unlimited access to NASCAR with live in-car audio and real-time stats on the NASCAR Sprint Cup mobile app, only from Sprint. Get the app and Sprint's truly unlimited data plan at sprint.com/speed. So, things to catch up on as we double up for the restart. Ryan Newman did not pit. He's the race leader. He was 14th at the caution flag. Kyle Busch, Denny Hamlin, just left side tires, line up 2nd and 3rd. The first with 4 tires is Brad Keselowski. He's in 8th for the restart. Check that. Paul Menard also with 4. He's in 7th for the restart. And Jimmy Johnson is going to be back in 14th position. Wave arounds back to the lead lap include Jamie McMurray and Travis Quapple. Carl Edwards got the free pass. And I think I got it all.
Good job.
That's a lot.
Ryan Newman's got 38 laps more on his tires than the rest of them do. See what he can do.
So Jeff Gordon in some trouble there off turn number 2. They're fanning out around him.
I think Jimmy Johnson was right in the middle of that.
Look at that scramble. Jimmy Johnson right in the thick of that, while up front Kyle Busch goes by and into the race lead around Ryan Newman. Something happened to Jeff Gordon coming up off of turn number 2 a lap ago. I just saw cars going left and right around him on both sides. But he seems to be up to speed. He lost 4 spots in that little scramble.
See Kurt Busch there in that 78. He's racing hard. He's the first car a lap down right now.
Oh, look at this. Kate, 300 cars, 3 wide.
I believe that was a situation Jeff kind of backing out a little bit there. But it's almost like something happened to his car right at that moment. I was going to say he gave Jimmy a little bit of room, but it's almost like he lost power for a minute.
Denny Hamlin, 11. Working on Clint Boyer, 15. And Boyer's going to get that spot. Brad Keselowski trying to follow through.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how these 4 tires work against the cars, these good cars like Hamlin that got just 2. Got 2 left sides.
Boyer going by there, he knows his only chance to have a real shot at anything next week for a championship is to go up here and grab this win, Dave.
And DJ, Brian Patty told me this morning he's been vacillating between, do I try to keep 3rd in the championship or just go for the wins? As we see a guy going for the wins right now, the 2 car inside the 11 car. The 15 is going to try for wins. They took strategy that time, just 2 tires for Clint. They were left side tires. That should loosen the 15 up.
Real variety of strategies there, from Ryan Newman not pitting under the caution to Kyle Busch and Denny Hamlin and Clint Boyer getting lefts. Paul Menard just got rights. Others like Brad Keselowski and Jimmy Johnson got 4.
Pretty good sampling to kind of figure out what's going to work, but I'm impressed with the 39 car of Newman actually still running close second with no tire.
Yeah, I'm impressed with that. It doesn't look like the 11, doesn't look like the 2's agreeing with him right now.
Vince Welch has Ryan Newman's pit today.
And Ryan communicating with crew chief Matt Borland about staying out.
He said, why do you have the advantage with less fuel? Said I was waiting for you to convince me as to why I have the advantage with less fuel. 10-4, car's lighter, more aerodynamics up front. Yeah.
Those guys have worked together in the past, although they've just kind of gotten together over the past couple of weeks as a new crew chief driver. But you hear they've got some good camaraderie there, and they're trying to make the best of this situation right now, AB.
Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah, you look for the positives, and that is true. I mean, the car, it seems like the tires don't really give up a lot of speed, but the car being lighter on fuel, that is worth a little bit.
Trick is, of course, he's got all those many laps less fuel on board.
There is that.
Yeah. Of course, that paint scheme on Ryan Newman's car from Quicken Loans today, recognizing members of the military who are their customers, some 250 of them on board that Desert Camo paint scheme. And ESPN is joining with the USO to give to the USO Wish Book, sending gifts that'll lift the spirits of our troops and their families. Team up with ESPN and the USO by going to www.uso.org/ESPN. There's different things you can pick from there, like a family fun day, free phone cards, and you can send those to our troops and families. A way to let our heroes and their families know we support them as the very, very proud son of a 28-year member of our Armed Forces. Happy Veterans Day, and thank you so much to all who serve and have served. Jimmy Johnson working on Eric Almirola and Casey Kane.
Trying to drive his way back into the top 10 here. You can see right at the top of our page there that virtual tie right now for that championship lead.
They talked about pins and needles a couple times today. I'm just wondering what Rick Hendrick was thinking when he saw 3 of his 4 cars going 3 wide into turn 1 with the championship contender Jimmy Johnson, the one on the outside.
Yeah, he's probably hoping that the other 2 realized that was the championship leader coming into the day. They understood the situation.
And they all got away with it.
They did that time.
I bet it wasn't pins and needles Mr. H was seeing there. Somebody mentioned a Malox moment earlier. Kyle Busch, the leader. We go NASCAR nonstop from Phoenix.
Back at Phoenix International Raceway, where Kyle Busch continues to lead the field. He's been out front for more than 125 laps today. But our main focus in this 5-hour Energy Rapid Recap is our championship contenders. Brad Keselowski started 14th, currently in 5th. He has a better car today than Jimmy Johnson, at least so far.
It sure does look that way, Nicole. He's been doing everything just right. Pretty good pit stops, a fast car, making good adjustments on his chassis. He's really in championship form right now.
And some strategic moves on the pit stop. The way that Keselowski pitted and when he pitted kept the 48 from leading a lap. Every point
counts. That's exactly right. We get down to Homestead just like last year. We saw that every point makes a difference. It shows that 2 team is always thinking, always on their game.
Back out on the track as we watch Brad Keselowski working on Clint Boyer. Boyer still mathematically in this championship, by the way.
Yeah, he is mathematically in it, like you said. He's 32 points behind right now. Do we think he'll get it? Probably not, but Brad wants to get him, that's for sure. Wants to pick up another position and try to catch that 48 car. He's 3 points behind the 48 right now.
Yeah. And Brad gets by him, but Brad's been keeping 4 tires on that car all day long. You see his car's been strong through the middle. He's been able to go through traffic. But I think as the race winds down, we're going to see these guys using more different strategy. We've seen 2 tires, right sides, left side, 4 tires. I don't believe that Brad Keselowski and Paul Wolf are going to keep 4 tires on that car all day long. If I'm a crew chief on top of the box, I'm really watching fuel mileage. We're getting close to making the money stop here. What tires do I want on my car, and how important is track position? I think track position at the end of this race is going to override whether you want 4 tires or not.
You can see the car just in front of Brad Keselowski. That's the 29 of Kevin Harvick. We have to give some credit to Richard Childress Racing today. It's not just Harvick who's running strong. Paul Menard has also been out front as well.
Yeah, he really is. Menard has just been, Menard, Brad, up the 29. Yeah. I've been looking at him, but you've been looking at the 27.
I've been watching Paul Menard. Yeah, Rusty, you're right. 29's been very strong. They've both run well, and Jeff Burton, who happens to be running 14th right now, has had a strong day. So great day for RCR. In the news yesterday, Kevin Harvick leaving. What's going to happen with that Budweiser sponsorship? But right now, looks like RCR is marching back with some strong race cars.
It's an impressive run, especially for Jeff Burton, considering how much he struggled in practice. He wrecked not just once,
2.
He wrecked twice.
And went back to the first car he wrecked, and he's racing it right now.
And he tried to wreck it once
or twice today, too. And he tried to wreck it early.
So that is Jeff Burton back in the field, but out front, it's Kyle Busch in front of Ryan Newman. Doc?
And Kyle Busch said this run, the car is, quote, wrecking loose. Dave Rogers said, hey, buddy, you got to save those tires on this next stop. I would like the option to only change 2 again. And Kyle said, okay, I tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to use all the tools I've got in here to tighten this car up, but it may not be enough. So Ray and Rusty, what kind of tools is he talking about?
Well, Doc, sometimes they've got fans, blowers. We've seen those guys operate in different switches. They can, turn the right front blower off, let that right front tire build up a little bit of pressure. Sometimes the driver can take a different line, arc it at the corner a little bit different. You want to try and drive that thing to the tighter side on the right front rather than on the right rear, correct?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the blowers are one thing you can definitely do, like you said, Ray, to try to build some air pressure back up in that right front, make that car a little tighter. And yeah, I do like what you just said about changing the line on the racetrack. to get your car handling better. As a driver, that's about all you can do. You got a couple switches you can play with, but moving that car around and finding a better line is the smartest thing to do.
Did you guys see that? Brad Keselowski in the 2 around the 29. Keselowski now in 3rd, Jimmy Johnson in 8th. We are 199 laps complete, 113 to go. Let's go NASCAR nonstop. More from Phoenix.
2/3 of the way through the AdvoCare 500 in Phoenix, the second to last race of the NASCAR Sprint Cup season. And our aerial coverage today provided by Goodyear. From pit lane to victory lane, every NASCAR driver counts on Goodyear tires. Goodyear, the official tire of NASCAR. A spectacular sun-splashed 65-degree afternoon in the Valley of the Sun, where, believe it or not, there are freeze warnings out for tonight.
It was cool this morning.
The action's been pretty hot on the racetrack as Kyle Busch continues to lead this race. We check out the AT&T Fastest Driver Challenge. Kyle running up front, obviously the furthest forward of the fastest 4 qualifiers. Remember to text FAST to 34763 and play AT&T's Fastest Driver Challenge, or visit attfastestdriver.com. You can have a chance to win 4 Gs just by playing. Let's check out the status of our top 10 by going up to speed. Dr. Jerry Punch has the race leader, Kyle Busch.
Kyle having a very good car most of the day, but a lot of discussion now about what's happening with the car and what needs to happen on the final pit stop. Let's listen in.
It's like yesterday's nationwide race. You got to drive it like a DA in order to get it to go. Okay, J4, make it last, man. There's a chance I'll only take 2 tires on next stop.
And that next stop they're talking about could be around lap 243, and by calculations, that could be the last stop of the day. Guys, pass on the racetrack.
The Blue Deuce going to the number 2 spot, Doc.
Yeah, this is exactly what we saw in practice yesterday, that this 2 car was really exceptional. What we saw it be able to run cars down, make passes, just extremely fast in the long run, and now it's getting time to win this thing.
And they stayed on this strategy of putting 4 tires on every time they've come down pit road, and it seems to be paying off for them here in this long run. Now up to 2nd, chasing down Kyle Busch, who just got 2 the last time.
Brad Keselowski said after the Texas race last Sunday night that he felt he needed to probably win one of the 2 final races to win the championship. He's up to 2nd right now as we continue with our up to speed. Vince?
Well, in the 2 car of Brad Keselowski really likes it, says it's a little bit snug, but otherwise it's good. Keselowski with a brand new race car this weekend, and Paul Wolfe said it's just that next generation, that little bit of extra bell and whistle that we could put on it, the best car we could possibly bring. Dave?
29 of Kevin Harvick continues to, actually now he's taken over the 3rd position, I believe, Vince, at this point. There he is. A great run for him after a poor qualifying run. They took 4 tires 2 stops ago. They took 2 lefts last time. They'll be able to take 2 rights on the final stop. He's being asked to stretch it right now so they can make that final window. The 15 of Clint Boyer. The crew telling me it's a little bit better right now, but it's still just a little bit tight track position. The biggest issue right now for Clint, he can't get forward past that 29. Jamie?
And Denny Hamlin behind him started this race 3rd, led 46 laps today, but on the last stop took 2 tires for the first time, and it hasn't been good for him. He's been battling, he fell back to 7, and has now worked his way back into the top 5, Dave.
And so what about the speed for Jimmy Johnson? When I talked to Chad Knaus this morning, he said that's the one thing we couldn't find any more of in practice. The balance was good, we made progress, but we were still looking for a little bit more speed. Running 6th, he's right now protecting that championship lead by a slim 2 points. Vince?
The 5 car of Casey Kane, he won this race a year ago, has really been fighting a loose race car during this most recent run. Now he says the track is really changing the handling a lot. It's going to be a 4-tire change next time he comes out, talking about air pressure adjustments to help Kane out as well. Jamie?
And Jeff Gordon been running top 10 all day long. On that last restart, remember, he was sluggish and lost 4 positions. He's slowly fighting his way back, made a wedge adjustment last time around, and that seems to be helping the car. They've been competitive all day. Dave?
Bumgarner took 4 tires the last time down pit road, has lost a couple of positions since the restart. You saw that, and that's because the car will not turn in the center of the corner. The car behind him right now going to try to put some a pass on him as well. That would be Matt Kenseth next in the order. There he is, talking to his crew chief, Jimmy Fenning, this morning. Jimmy said, man, did Joe Gibbs Racing hit a home run when they got this guy for next year. He thinks so highly of Matt, and even though they've won 2 times in this chase already, Jimmy says, I want another win with Matt before the year is out. Alan.
Dave, thanks. So it's been a Kyle Busch day. Led the most laps in this race so far. A segment of the race where he fell back on a longer run and Denny Hamlin was out in front. And what might have been Kyle Busch missing being involved in this championship by the heartbreaking night in Richmond in early September. And even in the 2 races in this chase where he hasn't had one of those top 5 finishes, he was running up front in New Hampshire when they had an engine problem. He was running well in Kansas when he got tangled up with another competitor and crashed.
They really have been outstanding. They've shown speed probably as much as anyone else, even Brad and Jimmy on a regular week-to-week basis. They've been right there.
Yeah, but even if they had made the chase, they would still not be at the level of performance we've seen out of the 2 and the 48 in this chase.
Kyle saying because of those 2 problems, they tracked it that they'd be about 5th or 6th in the championship had they made it, and not good enough to win the title. But perhaps launching some momentum for a bid in 2013. He's bidding for a win here in Phoenix today. He's out in front. Well, after both drivers started well back in the pack, they both run up into the top 10. And I hate to use the phrase, but I'm going to use it, that old sports cliche. They're doing what they have to do in this second to last race of the season. As we look at how the day started, how they prepped for Phoenix, presented by Doomsday Preppers, with Brad Keselowski 7 points behind Jimmy Johnson, starting back in 14th position. Johnson starting back in 24th. Doomsday Preppers on National Geographic. They have moved up. Keselowski to second and closing quickly on the race leader, Kyle Busch. That is that 18 out the front window.
These 4 tires are really showing to make a big difference, along with a driver that is very motivated to take this points lead right now by making this pass and going to the front.
And you're right, Al. They're actually, both these teams are doing what they have to do. Keselowski obviously doing it, but Jimmy Johnson's car is good. He's made a lot of passes, and he's up there in the top 10, so he's doing what he needs to do also.
Big picture story on the day of the race. Kyle Busch has had a dominant car, but a couple of times when we've gotten into a long green flag run, at the end of that long run, his car has fallen off and faded. Well, he might just be fading enough to give up the lead right here.
Well, one thing's happening now. You saw Dale Jr. just pitted with 85 to go. If they want to split this up from the last time they pitted, they'd have to go about 72 laps in each segment to make it on one more stop. So we'll see if these cars can do it. What's the 48 team doing here, Dave?
Andy, you saw the change in position on the left side of the screen there. Casey Kane going around the 48. He had actually given the position to Jimmy a few laps ago for Jimmy to see what he could do if he wasn't fighting with the 5 car. But Jimmy couldn't go anywhere, and Chad said on the radio, well, I guess we got to give that back. And they just did.
All right. Yeah, I think that's kind of a tale of what's happening right now. We've got one here in Brad Keselowski moving forward, looking to win the race, and Jimmy struggling to keep a position there and not lose any more points than what he possibly can today, knowing that this too is so good.
Keselowski's made up almost 3 seconds, or actually more than that, since he got back out on the racetrack, and he's now running down. I'm surprised that Kyle hadn't kind of let him go here. Kyle raced him hard.
Well, these two have had some history. I don't think Kyle's going to make it easy on him, whatever he's racing for. He's certainly not going to put either one of them in a bad position because they both have a chance to win here.
Now they're coming up on some lap traffic. Bobby Labarney, 47, Danica Patrick, 10, just ahead of his fight for the race lead. Kyle Busch hanging on to the lead, Doc.
Yeah, car getting a little bit tight, Alan. He's been told to save that right front tire. Kyle said, I'm trying my darndest to save the right front so we can change two in that final stop. But once again, here's the challenge from Brad K.
Big picture here. I'll be a good boy.
Yeah, he wants that lead pretty bad, but he's not going to take an undue chance here to try to take it. He's going to take it when the opportunity's there. Looks like it might be now.
Yeah, and I believe if these teams and drivers have to make a green flag pit stop, more than likely they're looking at 4 tires here instead of the 2. They were thinking of strategy under a caution situation.
Yeah, I think a lot of them were planning on maybe seeing a caution before now and trying to get to, if that happens. If it goes the full cycle, which we're just about there, I expect every one of these teams to change 4 tires under green because they'll have to take 2 cans of fuel to make it to the end. So that's what I expect to see here.
It's going to get him here.
Yeah, he's going to have him here.
Well, Kyle held on as long as he could, a car that's gotten a little bit tight.
Separate yourself, be protective, still out.
79 laps to go. Brad Keselowski to the race lead. Now this 2 car is up in that number 1 spot, Vince.
It's still about a dozen laps before Keselowski is looking to get into that window as far as a pit stop is concerned. Not a single chassis adjustment on this car all day. A minor air pressure adjustment on 1 stop. That's the only changes they've made to it. And as you guys noted earlier, other than that first pit stop, when they went with left sides only, Paul Wolfe has had 4 tires on that car all afternoon long. Keselowski very comfortable. We got a problem with the 48.
48 is into the wall, Vince. Jimmy Johnson has hit the wall.
Go ahead and wheel it around here, buddy. We'll get some new tires on there. We'll take a look at it. No brakes. That far. Get in here, we'll get a look at it.
Yeah, he's hit it hard. He's got some problems too. When he's hit no brakes, it means he probably broke the brake rotor on the right front. They'll have to replace that.
Running 7th at the
Ron,
time.
you go over and do the right front handed. Ron Malik handed the right front. Get a look at that.
And all the makings there of one of those situations like we saw with David Gilliland earlier in the race.
Well, I mean, he's been running hard. We saw him trying to search around, trying to find some speed.
Back it up.
He was probably overworking those brakes and overheating the right front
remember,
tire.
we're going to have to pick the car up first to get the jack underneath it.
Once again, that worst possible spot, this tire's going to let go, coming full bore out of turn 4, hard hit.
That's exactly where we saw, I guess it was Gilliland, did the same thing, right same spot.
You know, he'd been getting told that the others were running in a higher place, that they needed to pick the speed up if they could to search around. And when you do that, you'll run a little bit harder.
On there, we'll get it in the garage and we'll get it changed.
May need some more brake to do that. Jimmy's one that uses a little more brake than some others to make his car work and get the speed out of it, and sometimes that's a chance that you take.
Saw the tire changer there signaling the cut signal to Chad that there was more damage there than they were going to be able to fix on the pit stop. And Jimmy Johnson's team is going to push this car behind the wall. What a moment in this championship.
Wow. Mentioned as Brad took the lead, that opened it up to where he was the leader in points by 3, but that is obviously going to be much greater before this day is over, as long as Brad doesn't have any problems.
Now, while the 48 goes to the garage, Keselowski and the other lead lap cars come to pit road for stops. These are with 75 to go. This would be potentially the final pit stop of the race. Dave?
Kevin Harvick gives up 3rd position. His car had been just a little bit difficult to turn, but really not that bad. Pretty good for him. We'll see if they go for 2 or 4. It looks like it's going to be 4 for Harvick. Jamie.
Denny Hamlin said he started really loose, then it got tight. They're going to take 4 tires here. 2 didn't work. Air pressure adjustment. They'll fill it up with Sunoco fuel. And
Brad Keselowski says the car is pretty good. I said I don't really know what to ask for. It's a little free early in the run, but otherwise good. It's a 4-tire change, Doc.
4 tires for Kyle Busch, and the car got tight. Chassis adjustment, change air pressure. Got to get it full of fuel. They said, get it full of fuel. Hopefully they did. He is down and away. First one off of pit road.
Little loss of track position for Keselowski there. A little slow on the pit stop.
Yeah, the 2 car had some kind of problem on the right side. Jack Dan was real late getting around.
He's trying to make it up on pit road. I hope he wasn't speeding right there.
The bigger story. Keselowski losing a little ground on the pit stop, but gaining ground big picture. Jimmy Johnson, the car in the garage area after hitting the wall. Listen.
Keep rolling. Right front blue.
lap 235 of 312 in Phoenix. Perhaps a season-defining moment for Jimmie Johnson. The scene in the NASCAR Sprint Cup garage as they attempt to piece together Jimmie Johnson's battered car, get him back on the racetrack, salvage every possible point they can to try and go to the Homestead Miami Speedway and take a shot at the championship. We're getting ready to restart. With 71 laps to go, Brad Keselowski leading, coming onto the pit road. He's going to restart in 4th position after some trouble on his pit stop.
Yeah, that's just not legal to run up beside somebody on pit road under caution. I don't know if Brad was going a little slow or not, but he's still not supposed to make a pass on pit road.
Yeah, you're talking about Kyle there.
The lug nuts falling off there. It looked like
the problem's in on the pit stop.
71 to go. Denny Hamlin looking to the inside of Kyle Busch, who's going to get the race lead back.
Right now, Keselowski just wants to get clear of Kevin Harvick in this 29 where you can get back down on the bottom. Won't be messing around on the outside of this racetrack, even though this groove's widened out. He's able to do that.
Kurt Busch, free pass at the caution flag, back onto the lead lap after the extra pit stop earlier. Ryan Newman wave around to the lead lap after being off sequence, and 3 wide across the dog leg. Mark Martin on the move in the 55.
Man, getting a little racy here. Car looks like it's a lot better than it was the first half of the race.
Joey Logano, Jeff Gordon, 24 and 20. Paul Menard back deeper in traffic than he's been in a little while.
Yeah, he's had an outstanding day. Comes Keselowski trying to take over second. Denny Hamlin was glad to get 4 tires on that race car. It did not like those 2 tires that they put on the time before.
Remember that when Keselowski worked on Kyle Busch for the race lead before the caution flag, it took him several laps to finally be able to clear him, even though he had that inside opening to him a number of times.
Yeah, this is a very fine line right now as a driver, because Keselowski knows the problems of 48. This is a huge day in his championship bid, but he knows he has the race car to win this race, and Denny Hamlin's keeping him from getting up there to the 18 at this point in time. But do you push it?
Taking an outside peek there. Or is that just to make Denny think he's taking an outside peek?
Denny's having a little more trouble keeping pace this run, because you can see that the 18 car really getting away from these two. I'm sure Brad's thinking, I don't want him to get too far ahead of me.
Hey, he doesn't want that, and he doesn't want anyone to get to his rear bumper where that might create a situation. So Brad wants to be aggressive right here. He wants to get out there. He'd like to be able to kind of get himself in that position where it's just him running the 18 down if he possibly can. That 18's been awfully fast all day.
And this going on while Jimmie Johnson sits in the garage area. The big turning point wiggle there. Yep.
Yeah, that's what Keselowski was looking for, is just that little bit of an opening. Hamlin's not wanting to give this up either, because he knows in a longer run, most of the time, his car's been a little better than the 18. That would be his shot at trying to win. Whoa, that's close. Here comes Harvick for 3 wide.
And there goes Keselowski out of the middle of that.
As you can see behind them, they're going to have some more company. You got Clint Boyer and Casey Kane closing.
This is just what Brad did not want to get into right here.
Whoa, contact there. Harvick and Hamlin right in front of the new championship leader. I say that as they run, knowing Brad's got to finish the race, and this certainly has potential to mess that up. All this for second place. Behind Kyle Busch And while Jimmy Johnson's team continues to work on that car, Dave.
The focus is on the right front suspension, Alan. They've got the cutting torch in there right now. They're trying to remove things, replacing. I can't tell if they're going to try to replace the entire right front spindle, but that is a part that they want to be very concerned with at this point. Goodyear did report that it was a melted bead on that right front tire, that excessive brake heat. And Jimmy had reported that his car was tight, that it was not turning, and that combination apparently led to the failure that we saw and possibly the end of Jimmy's championship run this year.
Yeah, when the race car gets tight, one of the only things you can do, well, there's two things you can do as a driver. You can slow down, which is just going to decrease your speed, or you can keep driving at your pace and just use a little bit more brake. But that's the chance that you take.
So Johnson in the garage, Keselowski back to fighting with Denny Hamlin for second, while Kyle Busch is motored away to a 3.2-second lead with 60 to go. The semifinal race of the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series season down to its final 54 laps in the Wild West, the Valley of the Sun, Phoenix, where the racing version of gunslingers came to try and see who'd walk away with the advantage in the chase for the trophy. Did not work out Jimmy Johnson's favor today. This duel in the desert saw Johnson take the first blow. And the 48 team back in the garage area working on their car to try and get its very heavily damaged right front suspension repaired and salvage what they can out of this day, while Brad Keselowski runs in third position. After leading laps earlier in this race, he lost the lead on the last set of pit stops a minute ago.
You got breathing room out to cool your jets here. Been reminded to let you know who's sitting in the garage right now. Just big picture, please.
Joey Meyer, the spotter, talking to Brad Keselowski.
Yeah, I mean, you got to say it. You got to tell him. You know he knows. But you just got to say, hey, you just got to make sure we keep the big picture in mind. And I think Brad's done that really all season and even this entire chase. I think he's kept the big picture in mind. He's doing a good job right now. He's got a really good car. I think he's got a car that's maybe capable of winning. If he can kind of get by this 11 car and see if he can make some headway on Kyle Busch. He's gotten out there about 3 seconds. So.
Yeah, I like to say it's probably something they felt like you need to say, but this driver is so aware of everything in these races. I've just been amazed at him. Yeah, not that every driver would know that your competitor's sitting in the garage, but just the calls that he's made, the things that he's done from inside that race car that most drivers out here don't do, and just a cool customer.
Checking out our Mobile One telemetry from onboard Brad Keselowski's car.
And he has the fastest lap that's been run here today, 26.74. Two-car looks pretty strong here, Vince. What are they thinking the rest of the way?
Yeah, they're real happy with it. No problem on fuel, as you would understand. They are good to go. Brad asked Paul Wolf about it. Paul says, no problem whatsoever. He said, you don't even really have to save. We're that good. You know, back to what you guys were talking about, his perspective, Roger Penske told me this morning and used the analogy of Keselowski having a big windshield. He sees the big picture, and you rarely have to remind him of it. Every now and then, as we heard just a few moments ago, but that's one of the things that impresses Roger Penske the most about his driver, Brad Keselowski. Jamie Little?
And the man who he is all over and trying to wear out is Denny Hamlin. This 11 car has been good on 4 tires all day, but Denny's saying right now, way too loose. Remember, he led 46 laps earlier today, but just cannot reach the 18, his teammate.
We take an inside look and get unlimited access to the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series, brought to you by the NASCAR Sprint Cup mobile app and truly unlimited data on the Sprint network. Denny Hamlin's team, fastest 4-tire pit stop today.
Yeah, 11.8. Boys getting it done.
Yes, they are. You can get it done with unlimited access to NASCAR with live in-car audio and real-time stats on the NASCAR Sprint Cup mobile app. Only from Sprint. Get the app and Sprint's truly unlimited data plan at sprint.com/speed. So, Dale, I know you've been inside these cars in one of these championship situations. Brad Keselowski and Jimmy Johnson have had the mindset, we've got to go all out, we've got to race as hard as we can for wins because that's what they've had to do. Now it's changed. How does that, does that change in any measurable way what you're doing?
I think in some cases, just as we saw Brad racing with Denny Hamlin for that second spot, it changes just how aggressive you would be if the situation were a little bit different. If Jimmy Johnson were still running there inside the top 10, I'll assure you that Brad would have forced that issue a little bit more to get that second spot away where he could try to go chase down the 18 of Kyle Busch and see if he could win this race, because he knew he was going to need those points. Right now, the focus is totally different as a driver. You still have to run hard. You can't just back out. You need this third place finish.
And I guess another area where I was thinking was, we talked about pins and needles today.
Yeah.
Does that put him more on pins and needles now than it might have before when he was just racing for the win?
You know, yeah. You're a little more nervous because it's there right now for your taking. You know that the whole championship is in your hands now, so it makes you a little bit more nervous with that.
Remember that theory about the bubbles? Just making you wear your stuff out here. You're doing good. Yeah, I'm going to blow a bead if I run behind him like that long. I got to lay up a little bit here for a minute.
Yeah, one thing he can do is just try to save that right front, keep the heat out of it, stay off the brake pedal. You can run pretty fast laps and use a lot less brake, and I'm sure after what he's seen with Jimmy Johnson, that's exactly what he's doing right now.
And Jimmy Johnson had to run that hard because Brad Keselowski was in front of him and leading the race, or contending for the lead in the late laps here at Phoenix. Caution, as you saw, a hard crash for David Reagan. He's driven around. Pit strategy here. Brad Keselowski comes in from third position, while Kyle Busch and Denny Hamlin and a few others stay out. Vince?
We discussed how many laps he had on his tires, 32, and how many cars are on the lead lap, 19. And both Brad Keselowski and crew chief Paul Wolfe agreed, let's bring it in, put on some tires, left sides only for the two.
So 8 cars do not pit out of the 19 that are on the lead lap.
Yeah, I think I would have wanted to get a right front on that thing, though. We've seen these cautions there. Almost every one of these cautions have been for a right front tire going down.
And this will probably be another one here. David Reagan with a crash in turn 4. Oh. Well, that's what, 3 of those we've seen today. Hard crashes in turn 4. Jimmy Johnson back on track in 33rd place, 38 laps down, dropping to the tail of the field as they double up for the restart that'll come with 35 laps to go. Kyle Busch, Denny Hamlin, Kevin Harvick, Casey Kane, Clint Boyer, Jeff Gordon, Joey Logano did not pit under the yellow flag. Brad Keselowski first off the pit lane with just left side tires on the 2. He restarts 8th, 35 to go.
But Keselowski got a little help there from his next year teammate coming over, Joey Logano.
Just sliding around
there.
See Logano,
yeah. Mark Martin and Matt Kenseth, 3 wide. Martin gives way. Most of the cars that pitted got just 2 tires. And there are only a few that got 4, and they're well back in the line.
Some of the thinking here with Paul Wolfe is probably that he knew a lot of cars would pit to get tires, and he did not want Brad to be on defense, trying to fend off people that had tires. And this kind of puts him on offense now, where he can actually go out there and pass cars. Vince, what was I thinking in the 2 pit?
Yeah, well, you'd think that maybe would go with 4 or right sides, considering the right front issues that we've seen today. But Paul Wolfe said the left sides have shown more wear, and that's their chief concern at this point. They just felt like that was the way to go, just to be safe.
Trouble off turn 2. Got a car spinning. Tony Stewart.
Might need some tires.
The 14 car running in 14th place at the time. doesn't sound healthy. Almost looked like Menard ran out of brakes there, and then Stewart's going to run up.
Yeah, I was noticing the yellow Goodyear paint was worn off the left rear tire. Now see why. See how difficult it is to see down into turn 1.
Wow.
39 checked up. Stay in the middle. Stay in the middle.
So Ryan Newman was the one that bobbled, and when Tony tried to cut under him, Eric Almirola got him and turned him around. Restart with 28 laps to go. Casey Kane to the inside of leader Kyle Busch in the 18. Not for long.
Kevin Harvick showing some muscle we haven't seen in quite a while.
Remember, Kevin finished second here back in March. Mixing it up. Clint Boyer, Jeff Gordon, 15 and 24. That's for 5th and 6th place.
I'm not sure about the decision to pit that 2 car. He's back in a lot. He's giving away valuable points right now.
Harvick trying to get second away from Kane. Keselowski on Mark Martin for 9th place, and he picks up the spot. Remember, he restarted 8th after the pit stop a minute ago, lost a position on the run, lost another spot on this restart.
P9 walking away from them guys behind you.
Now he's gained 1 back.
Yeah, it's just like it didn't do much for his car to get those 2 tires. All he did was give up the track position. Like I said, they'll put him into some pretty compromising positions.
Housekeeping, Greg Biffle got the free pass on the caution prior. Danica Patrick got the free pass and is back on the lead lap on this caution. 20th position. That slow car on the apron was David Reagan. The car involved in the accident a minute ago as the 3014 continues to try and get that car repaired and back up to speed. Wow, Casey Kane hanging it out there. Just joining us, the big story of the day came with 77 laps to go when Jimmy Johnson, running in 7th position, hit the wall off of turn number 4. He's returned to the track. He's 38 laps down in 33rd place and cannot gain any more positions for the remainder of this race. Brad Keselowski was leading at the time. They had trouble on a pit stop, lost a few positions, then made the decision to pit again when some others did not. And that's Keselowski there fighting with Matt Kenseth for the number 8 spot, while Johnson just tries to finish the rest of the laps.
Well, each of these spots that he can gain now are just increasing his championship lead as he goes to Homestead next week. So very important.
Other major story of the day is the guy that's leading, Kyle Busch in the 18 car. He's been out in front of this race for 223 of 290 laps. Denny Hamlin has led 46, but predominantly it's been Kyle Busch. Early and often, one stretch of the race, a long green flag stretch, where his car's handling went away toward the end of the run and he slipped back. But they sure have this 18 car in the win today.
Yeah, we'll just have to see here. This is not a very long run to the end, but then we'll have had these tires on for a little over 70 laps. If it goes away here in these next 20, that gives Harvick or Kane or possibly Hamlin an opportunity.
Boy, Harvick's having a great race, and it's really coming at a good time. RCR just had a tough weekend. Yesterday in the nationwide race, they wrecked the car of Elliott Sadler and had to go to a backup car, wrecked it, lost all the lead that they had. They were tied for the lead, lost all the points in the championship. And then Burton wrecked 2 cars in practice. It'd be a real comeback from RCR if they could win this thing.
Kevin Harvick got his first top 10 finish of the chase last Sunday in Texas. He may get his first top 5 of the chase today here in Phoenix, though we've still got a little ways to go.
He's catching his 18. He's a little quicker that lap.
But so far today, Kyle Busch has been dominant. And for leading all of those laps today, we named Kyle Busch our Goodyear Superior Performer. They have been tough.
Well, they've just been outstanding throughout the chase as far as fast race cars. They've had a couple of situations that have cost them good finishes, but they've been right in the mix inside the top 5 a lot throughout these 9 races so far to this point.
Using every inch of the racetrack off of turn 2. Joey Logano running in 7th. In the 20 car, just in front of Brad Keselowski.
Logano, another driver that's really had a good chase so far. Done very well. Of course, won his 9th nationwide race yesterday. Just had an incredible year there.
Yeah. About to give up a spot here.
Yeah, I talked to Roger Penske in the garage area this morning. They're really excited about getting Joey Logano in their camp next year, and what we'll see with these 2 drivers as teammates.
Joey Logano with 4 top 10 finishes in these 8 races in the chase so far, and in position to try and make it 5 for 9. Kyle Busch has been in this position on a number of occasions this season, and going back into last season where he's led a lot of laps in a race and circumstances found a way to change things at the end of the day. Back to the pins and needles theme.
Yeah, this is a team that's had so many things to happen to him, and Kyle Busch is a driver. I'm sure he's sitting there hearing every little sound and wondering what in the world may happen this time, because the last 7 races that he's led the most laps, he has not won.
Doc, are they on pins and needles in the 18 pit?
Well, indeed they are, exactly what DJ said. I was sitting with Dave Rogers this morning, and Dave said, you know the numbers, don't you, Doc? I said, yeah, last 7 times we led the most laps, we didn't win. In fact, this car he's in today led 302 laps at Dover, Delaware, but with 20 laps to go, it went away because of fuel mileage. We have not been able to catch a break late in the race. Maybe today their luck changes.
Well, it's got 13 more circuits around here, Doc, to try and change that trend and lead the most laps and take home the trophy.
Yeah, I'm watching Harvick. He's moving all. Got a little smoke going here now. The corners maybe have a tire rub on the left front. Just watching Harvick, though. He's moving all around the racetrack trying to find something.
Yeah, he picked up about 1/10 of a second that last time, so he's still in the mix.
Bring it in when we got a tire going.
Sam running 19th, last on the lead lap.
Oh, these 2 have got together before.
Trouble, it is Hornish into the wall in turn 3. Caution flag is out. That the beginning of Sam's troubles. And this, the continuation.
That tire's rubbing really bad. They tried to get him into the pit, but didn't get him there quick enough.
That was Danica taking over that 19th spot. She's had a very solid day here.
That left front just gave way.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
I'll tell you what, that was hard to lose. Yeah, they were trying to get it to the pit road. Just 11 laps to go. I expect everybody staying out here. So Keselowski's in 7th. He'll get to start on the inside lane again.
Probably a good thing for him, I would say.
They're pretty conservative on these restarts here in the last couple.
What it does do is it gives Kevin Harvick a chance to be alongside Kyle Busch for a restart. Couple of guys really hungry for a long-awaited win.
Yeah, he's real hungry. He didn't get a very good restart, though, the last time.
Yeah, Keselowski does have the freshest tires, albeit that's just the 2 left side tires they put on. There are a few cars coming down pit road.
13th place Mark Martin, the first one to make the move to pit road in the 55. as they push the Hornish car behind the wall. Bobby Labonte, the free pass under the caution flag.
See, I can't believe that we see this 99 car has just not been very good this year. I can't believe come to Phoenix and he's not any better than he's been. I expected him to maybe come back alive here and be one of the cars that'd be in the mix.
We saw Mark Martin earlier in the day take 2 tires and lead for a little while, but has generally been somewhere around that 8th to 12th spot most of the day.
So we're going to have a restart inside of 10 laps to go in the second to last race of the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series season. Just joining us, the story of the day, this man, the 5-time champ Jimmie Johnson, leading the championship beginning the afternoon, running in 7th position with 77 laps to go when this happened off turn 4.
Yeah, Jimmy had been running extremely hard, searching around, trying to get some more speed out of his car. And a lot of times you do that, you'll use a little bit more brake to make that happen. Melted the bead on the right front, hard impact into the turn 4 wall.
38 laps in the garage for repairs. And Johnson is going to finish no better than 33rd position today. While Brad Keselowski started back in 14th position. He's led laps today, and right now he's running in 7th, Vince.
With Paul Wolf, the crew chief for Brad Keselowski. Paul, just a few laps to go. What's your thought process here?
Yeah, we just got to stay out of trouble here. It's probably a bad call, I guess, to come get tires. Thing just wouldn't go on the left sides there, so we lost a few spots, but and we still get a good finish out of it. So Middle Light Dodge has been fast all day. We had a little issue on the pit stop before last and lost the lead, and just kind of trying to recover from that.
Thanks, Paul. Alan.
So we get set for the restart, Vince. It'll come with 8 laps to go and 20 cars on the lead lap. Kyle Busch, the race leader, with Kevin Harvick now to his outside as Busch selects the inside line this time. Casey Kane, Denny Hamlin doubled up in row 2. Clint Boyer, Jeff Gordon, Brad Keselowski, Joey Logano, the top 8. Around the outside to the race lead with 7 laps to go.
Well, I bet you Kyle Busch is rethinking that position of starting this race on the inside. That was the opportunity Harvick needed.
I really think it was because his car had been so tight that he needed that bottom to really get in the corner hard and get back to the gas. Harvick took advantage of that opportunity. That's all that he needed. We got a lot going on, though.
Jeff Gordon up into the outside wall.
Looks like some damage on the left rear. I don't know if somebody got into his left rear.
We did cut the tire.
We stay under green for the moment. Jeff was running in 5th place. Matt Kenseth showing some smoke. Remember Mark Martin, Carl Edwards, some of the guys that pitted under this last caution have fresher tires.
Matt's got a left front tire rub. Doesn't look as bad as Sam Hornish's was when he blew it out. But he's still got to be a little concerned.
Back to look at what happened to Jeff Gordon running in 5th position. Racing with Clint Boyer in the 15.
There's that contact on the left rear.
Well, a good day gone bad again for Jeff Gordon in this chase. Brad Keselowski, Joey Logano for 6th place. While Kevin Harvick has opened up about 10 car lengths on Kyle Busch for the race lead.
what makes this sport so great. We just didn't see Harvick show anything that would give us any idea that even though this is a great racetrack for him, that they had found enough stuff that would get them in this position.
Got to hand it to Gil Martin, the crew chief. He must have made some really good adjustments on that 29. You can see, though, that Keselowski wants just one more point if he can get by Joey Logano.
Jeff Gordon was shown the black flag. He's turning Clint Bowyer into the wall, collecting Joey Logano. Caution flag is out. Almirola slides in. Did the leader take the white flag before the caution came out?
Limit to the garage, straight right here. Fire's gone, fire's gone. United, fire's back.
Late laps
Fire
retaliation.
if you want to stop right there. There's a fire truck that can get to you if you stop right there.
Checking with NASCAR. The caution was out before the white flag. We're not done with this
Still
race
on
yet.
fire? No, it's down now. It's down. You're good. Just stay on.
And mayhem in the late laps here at Phoenix. You saw the first incident that cut the tire with Jeff Gordon, put him into the wall. He basically waited on Clint Bowyer to come around and took him out.
All this is happening right in front of Brad Keselowski, and he was racing Joey Logano, and I was afraid they were going to get caught up, or Brad was going to get caught up into it. He somehow got through it.
Jeff has been summoned to the NASCAR hauler for a post-race visit.
Well, they said they were going to let him have at it. That's having at it right there.
That's a year's worth of frustration.
Oh, conflict. The crews are in it. And somewhere in the middle of that is Jeff Gordon.
His opportunity at this. Can't really blame him.
That's stupid.
Well, the tempers have boiled over here in Phoenix after late race contact between Jeff Gordon and Clint Bowyer, and then a payback. And there are going to be a lot of visitors to the NASCAR transporter after the race. Bowyer's crew chief, Bowyer. Gordon's crew chief, Gordon. I'll bet the team owners are in there too.
This cost Bowyer a lot. It was going to be third in points, just
with still an opportunity.
Yeah, with an opportunity, just a few points behind Jimmy Johnson. He was maybe 7 or 8 points as they were running behind Jimmy Johnson.
The race has been red flagged, by the way. The cars are stopped on the track while they clean up the speedway and get ready for a green-white checker finish.
Yeah, there's a huge amount of oil over in turns 3 and 4 and probably on around where Clint Bowyer had driven his car around for a while. And a lot of torn up cars, but it's going to take a while to get this racetrack in raceable condition again.
So we had shown you the replays of the initial contact between Jeff Gordon and Clint Bowyer racing for 5th position. Then this, the payback. as Brad Keselowski, the championship leader, right in front of him, finds enough room to get by.
See how Marola got in the oil there and couldn't get his car under control.
You see Clint, he's trying to figure out which way to go. He knows that Jeff's mad. I thought maybe his best shot was to go underneath.
Still there.
Jeff is just very determined to take care of business.
That was a real act of a champion. You okay there?
Only word I can think of is ugly. Ugly situation. And certainly it got uglier back in the garage area, Jamie.
Yes, it certainly did, and it's not over right now. Brian Patty keeping an eye on his driver, Clint Boyer, who right now has pretty much lost his mind. Brian, what led to that, first of all?
I guess they rubbed getting in turn 3. Obviously didn't see it. I saw the 24 against the fence, but I don't know. It's kind of crazy that a champion will take out like that, but 2 races, Homestead, if we have nothing to lose, I'm pretty sure we'll get it, pretty exciting down there. But it's just a freaking shame that this team is working so hard every week that shit like that happens.
And Brian Patty just told his team try to get the car finished, and we want to apologize for the language used. It is an unfortunate situation. You heard him talk about the championship repercussions here. They were third in points, and this still is going on down here between the two teams. And Clint Boyer is out in the middle, and Michael Waltrip is holding him back right now, Alan.
What a scene. Now, all this going on as the leader was coming to get the white flag. NASCAR has gone back, checked the cameras and the whole process, the electronic system that they go through, and determined that Kevin Harvick had not gotten the white flag before the caution came out.
All we got to do is look at the field. We were over the start-finish line. We took the white.
They say, oh, we were across the start-finish. I was looking at it.
Ain't no way.
Obviously, Gil Martin and Richard Childress disagree with NASCAR's call there.
I'm sure they'd probably have support from their driver, too, if he had any idea exactly when that came. But it's hard to tell as the driver exactly when it happened. But, wow, there's too much going on. But Kevin Harvick's going to have to somehow get it together. He raced that he thought that he had well in hand.
That is not a happy-looking Richard Childress.
There's a bunch of people not very happy right now.
So the action on the track, and then the action continues in the garage area. Don't know how you'd call the third man in there.
See, Gordon was kept away from the action, actually.
Yeah, I thought he was at the bottom of that pile. It looks like they got him pinned into the toolbox, huh?
Slow in front of you. Watch. Watch, 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 watch. Really?
That's a pretty accurate observation from Joey Meyer, spotted from Brad Keselowski. So there they sit, the remainder of the field, while the track gets cleaned up and we get set to go for 2 or more laps of racing. And a crazy turn of events here at Phoenix, starting with the last restart when Kevin Harvick went around the outside of Kyle Busch and got the lead. The contact between Boyer and Gordon, the retaliation, and then there.
Definitely caution was out before Harvick got there. And I can see Harvick looking at, he's probably looking at the white flag. He didn't see the light.
Yeah. So, Kevin, you got some more work to do. The caution came out before the leader started the last lap. And again, if you're new to NASCAR, if the leader had taken the white flag and started the last lap and the caution came out, then the race would not be restarted. As it is, with the race under caution at its scheduled distance, there'll be a little overtime racing to try and get the fans a green flag finish. Jamie?
Alan Gustafson, the crew chief for Jeff Gordon. Alan, I was listening on the radio. That was premeditated there. He waited out there for him. Why did he get so upset by that move? They weren't racing for the lead.
Well, I mean, it's just, it's about the 5th time that he's run us over. And after a while, you get really frustrated with that. We all work really hard on these cars, and Jeff races everybody with a lot of respect. And, evidently he had enough. If you're going to play that way, if you're going to race that way, then you shouldn't be upset when you get it back.
You're the one that has to fix this race car now. What are your thoughts and impressions on Jeff wrecking this car?
I love Jeff Gordon. I stand behind him 100%, and that's what we had to do. And we'll fix him all day long. And he's a great race car driver, and he knows. Everybody out here will tell you he's as good a race car driver and as a competitor as there is. And if he's tired of it, then it means it's time.
Have you ever seen him that fired up?
I was pretty fired up.
All right, let's go over to Vince.
With Richard Childress, team owner, on that 29 car for Kevin Harvick, and there was some dispute as to whether Kevin had gotten past the line before the yellow came out. It looks like replays indicate he had not gotten to the line in time, but we're going to show you the replay here, Richard, but just thoughts on how Kevin has run today and being in this position.
Well, we felt that we had crossed the line, or we were right there on the line when the caution came out. They got to show it to us in a different angle.
Yeah, there's the replay indicating the yellow is out prior to getting to that line, but nice resurgence from the 29 car today and still with the opportunity to win this race.
Yeah, the fuel's tough right now.
Short on fuel?
Yeah.
Thanks, Richard. Alan?
Well, that makes another interesting layer to this onion, doesn't it?
Yeah, but that video replay is clear. They did not have the caution or the white flag before the caution came out.
And again, the way that all that works, there are time codes, time stamps on all of those video machines, and we sync the time code on the video replay to the time code on NASCAR, the camera that follows that caution light. And that's how we match it up to show you exactly what was happening at that moment the caution light came on.
Looks like Brad's checking his Twitter account.
Is he tweeting his seat?
He could be. He's got a good one. He had a good seat for that last one.
I somehow expect he's commenting on what just happened in front of him.
He could be doing that, and he may be seeing how big a lead he's going to have going into next week.
Yeah.
As he
might be checking NASCAR.com.
Yeah, see what's going on as far as exactly where he's going to have. I'm sure that he's calculating in his mind where he's going to have to finish. He probably already knows that. Of course, this isn't over yet, so we got racing to do. Anything can happen here. We've obviously seen these drivers are going to sit over here. The tires are going to lose pressure. They've been on them for a while. These cars are not going to drive very good whenever they go back to racing.
Clint Boyer headed out of the garage area. He's headed in the direction of pit lane, so we'll see if there's enough rolling of this 15 car and if they'll let it get back into the race. I'm not sure about that.
Can't even imagine with all the fluid that thing lost that it could stay under power for a green-white checker, but they'll do what they can here.
Yeah, and they can't work on the car during this red flag, and we saw that he had a lot of problems with it. I'm not sure they can even get it back out.
Yeah, that's not what he had on his mind when he exited that car, if it would roll or not. But I know Jeff Gordon's a feisty young man, but or he's not that young anymore, but this is the guy you wouldn't want to tangle with. But they have had some issues along the way, and as a driver, I've kind of been on both sides. You get fed up with it, and sometimes I'm sure that Jeff will probably be in this situation that you wish you would have taken a little time and thought about it and gone and talked about it possibly, but sometimes you just take it in your own hands.
Yeah, I can remember Martinsville early in the year when it looked like Jeff Gordon was going to win that race. Got wrecked out by a big bold move by Boyer. I'm sure that Gordon hadn't forgotten that one.
Went 3 wide on a late restart down into turn 1, and Gordon got knocked up out of the way. Boyer got collected also, but that's certainly the first of a couple of different times they've tangled this year. So Boyer's car sitting in its pit box. Brian Patty and crew there waiting to jump on it and work on it. Remember, you can't work on a car under the red flag under NASCAR rules. They can look at it and try and make plans for their repair effort.
I believe maybe just a few weeks ago at Martinsville, they had a little run-in at the very end of that race also.
Talked about this back in April. Gordon led most of the race. 3 wide into turn 1 on the restart. And Ryan Newman went on to score the win.
When they get together, it's big.
Yeah, and it's usually in the late laps, apparently. Well, I'm not sure how they're going to get that car back into this race for these last few laps, but they're going to try. And what set all this up? The initial action and the ultimate reaction.
It's just some hard racing right here. They get together. I'm sure it's just a miscalculation. I don't think that Boyer did anything on purpose.
See right here, it's like
I think Gordon maybe tried to go back at him when they got to the corner, and that's what got him out of shape and got in the wall.
Yeah, I believe it might have cut the left rear tire possibly. I'm not sure if it's down or if it just rubbed. It looks like it's still rolling pretty good, but
this is the big one.
This is when.
If that wasn't big enough, it got bigger in the pit area after all this.
When the bench is emptied, if you will. Big mess in the late laps at Phoenix. They'll talk about this one for a long time.
NASCAR Sprint Cup Series at Phoenix is brought to you by Doomsday Preppers on National Geographic. Check your local listings. Sylvania's Silver Star Ultra headlights. Remember, headlights dim over time, replace before burnout. AT&T, the nation's largest 4G network. AT&T, rethink possible. And Ford, and the Go Further with Ford Night.
And our aerial coverage from Phoenix today provided by Goodyear. From pit lane to victory lane, every NASCAR driver counts on Goodyear tires. Goodyear, the official tire of NASCAR. The second to last round of the chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup, pun intended.
Yeah, that last round was a good one.
Is in its final laps. The pit lane open here before a green-white checker finish at Phoenix. Matt Kenseth, it looks like in ninth place, is going to be the first one and one of few to duck in to the pit road. So what seems like about 20 minutes ago now, actually probably was a little more than 20 minutes ago, we had a restart where Kevin Harvick went around the outside of Kyle Busch. Kyle, the race's dominant driver, and Kevin got the lead away. That was with 8 laps to go. Then the big mess between Jeff Gordon and Clint Boyer, the 15-minute red flag to clean it up, and now they're going to do it again for a green-white checker finish the first attempt at the green-white checker finish, and you heard from Richard Childress a minute ago, fuel is a concern for the 29. Other big story on the day, of course, is the championship. Jimmy Johnson in a wreck earlier while running 7th with 77 to go. Brad Keselowski running in 5th position, while Johnson is in 33rd place, 38 laps down. And he can finish no higher than that 33rd.
The top 4 cars pitted on lap 237. Last pitted. Looks like Keselowski was the last one that came down pit road. He last pitted at 274, so he's got plenty of fuel for a green-white checker or more.
Clint Boyer's team apparently not going to be able to do anything with that 15 car and are going to push it back behind the wall. Kyle Busch, let's check on his fuel situation, Doc.
Well, Dave Rogers told Kyle, save fuel, buddy. We're close. And he also said, by the way, this is your turn, your restart to get him back. Go out and win this thing. Dave.
Doc, I just checked with Gil Martin, Kevin's crew chief. I said, can he make it on fuel? Gil said, we'll see. Alan?
What else can happen today? Well, we'll see.
I tell you, they still have a pretty slick racetrack. I know NASCAR got it cleaned up as good as they can, but there's going to be speedy dry still, and I'm not sure that it's soaked up all of that oil. This could be exciting off turn 4.
And Kevin Harvick, the race leader, has chosen the outside lane for the restart. Remember, it was in the outside lane that he passed Kyle Busch on the restart with 8 to go, adding a lap to the caution.
That's going to make this fuel situation just a little bit tighter.
Yep. They have a couple of other people to get in the proper order for the restart. And since final finishing positions are at stake here,
so these teams were planning on this race being 312 laps. It's already 316.
While they work around the speedway slowly under caution before the finish, we remind you that Tuesday on ESPN, 4 championship coaches headline the State Farm Champions Classic from the Georgia Dome, side of the Final 4. At 7, Tom Izzo Spartans take on Bill Self's Jayhawks. Then at 9, the Blue Devils and Wildcats square off for the first time in a decade. The State Farm Champions Classic, Michigan State, Kansas at 7, Duke, Kentucky at 9, Tuesday on ESPN. Watch ESPN in 3D, ESPN, the home of college hoops. We check with Jamie.
And we're back here at the NASCAR hauler. You see 4 policemen guarding it. That is because Jeff Gordon and his crew chief, Alan Gustafson, are in there talking to NASCAR. Now, I was just told that these guys will escort Jeff Gordon back to his bus. Meanwhile, to my left, Clint Boyer's car is back in the garage, and so is Clint Boyer. Guys?
Restart. 2 laps to go. Will it be Kevin Harvick, Kyle Busch, or someone else? Keselowski slipping while Harvick clears Kyle Busch for the race lead. Danica Patrick into the wall, spinning back down into traffic. White flag is out. This is the last lap of the race.
Does Harvick have enough fuel to get back here? See Kyle Busch almost spinning there inside of Denny Hamlin.
They're coming to turn 3. Patrick is driven away from the scene. The long dry spell for Kevin Harvick and Richard Childress Racing comes to a close at Phoenix. He slides to the finish line while they crash behind him. Keselowski threads the needle as cars crash to the checkered flag.
I don't understand why they didn't throw the caution there. The 10 car was losing a lot of fluid.
Mark Martin, Kurt Busch, Ryan Newman, all torn up. Patrick in the middle of it.
Hop out.
Paul Menard. And look at the side of the new championship leader's car.
He's lucky. That's all he's got.
Very, very fortunate. Yeah, that's a situation where you can't let that dictate. When there's an accident, the caution has to be thrown. I realize what we've been through and trying to get this done, but the circumstances shouldn't dictate that whatsoever.
Still a great win for Harvick.
Oh, what a great job he did of driving this car to victory.
Passed Kyle Busch on the outside on a restart with 8 to go. Got away from Kyle Busch on the outside on a green-white checker restart. Managed to slide sideways a little bit through some of that liquid that it appeared was on the racetrack coming off turn 4 and get to the checkered flag. And for Kevin Harvick, a day that for so many others has resulted in mayhem and chaos, is going to result in a victory celebration, the first one since September of 2011 for Harvick. Brad Keselowski will finish 6th. Well, while Brad looks at his race car and gathers his thoughts, let's look at all that happened.
Yeah, he just got in the left rear of Danica. She just goes up and crashes pretty hard. I'm surprised the caution didn't come out here.
And it should be thrown right there. Car sitting in the middle of the racetrack.
Look at the streak.
Wow. Brad Keselowski, very, very fortunate that he got back there without more damage and, wow, some hard hits right here.
Wow, look at the lick Danica. Took right there. Oh. What a mess.
Look at that
Harvick.
streak. Look at it.
See Harvick just power sliding through there. A lot of cars. Oh, man. Kurt Busch hit a ton.
Ryan Newman took a couple of hard hits.
That's a hard way to get a top 5 finish, but that's what Newman did.
You have a car in the wall on the inside lane, coming to the checker here. Right, come on through here, let's get through here, There you go.
Boy,
I want to say it's P5. Big wreck behind you now. Gonna have a big wreck behind you, a lot of debris.
Well, Vince, top 6 finish for Brad Keselowski and the championship lead heading to the final race.
He's managing a smile, but certainly was a hard-earned smile today. You're the championship leader. We'll address that in a moment. But first, how about the finish and everything you had to drive through to get there?
You know, I raced pretty hard last week at Texas, and a couple guys gave me flack for it. But there's a difference between racing hard and what we saw today. You know, that was, borderline ridiculous at times. But we survived, and I'm proud of everyone on the Miller Lite team for that. We had a great car, and things just didn't quite play to our strengths, but that's okay. I felt very lucky to make it through all the corners today.
You have a 21-point lead in the championship. What was your initial thought when you realized that Jimmy Johnson had been involved in the accident?
My initial thought was I heard he blew a right front tire, and I was thinking, what conspiracy theorist is going to come up with a theory on this one? And then you realize that the same thing can happen to you, and so you try not to let that get into you too much, and try to just focus on what you got and make sure you don't have the same problem. And and that was really what I was thinking. Obviously, there's no guarantees. We could go next week to Homestead, have the same problem, and Jimmy take the point lead back over. So no guarantees, but very proud to have that points lead heading into next week.
Yeah, glad you're okay. I know there was some heavy contact there on that car, Brad Keselowski. Dave?
Vince, we are standing by with Jimmy Johnson. Finishes 33rd today, 21 points behind. Jimmy, what is your view of the championship now?
It's way out of our control, obviously, with the problem we had today. We still have to go to Homestead and race, and anything can happen down there, but not the position we want to be in leaving Phoenix. So, I feel terrible for my team and how hard these guys work. Everybody at Hendrick Motorsports, Lowe's, Cobalt Tools, Chevrolet, across the board, there's been a huge effort put into this to try to get us a championship, and I just hate for our day to turn out as it did today. But it's racing, and we'll go to Homestead and do all we can down there and see how things pan out.
Jimmy, what was going on with the race car, and what were you trying to do with it when the accident occurred?
We were cruising along, and I think we're going to have a top 10 day, maybe a top 5 day if things worked out at the end. and I had a slight vibration starting in the right front. I didn't know where it was really coming from, but clearly now it was the right front. And then as I was coming off of turn 4, it went down and straight in the wall I went. So. Another 30, 40 feet around the corner, I probably just had a flat, not hit the wall, but where it let go, I had a direct line at the wall and knocked it down.
It usually smiles on you. It didn't seem to that time.
No, it's the way way it goes. Anything can happen in racing. I'm very proud of the year. I'm very proud of the effort my entire Lowe's team has put in. Hate to see it potentially end this way. But again, it's racing. I've been doing this a long time, and I've won a few championships, and I've lost a lot. Losing isn't any fun. But we'll be back next weekend and next year, hungrier than ever, and do the best job we can.
And Alan, double-checking timing and scoring. It is 20 points now that Jimmy is behind Brad Keselowski.
Yeah, because the race ran some extra laps, Jimmy was able to gain one more spot and finish 32nd instead of the 33rd.
Yeah, he did. We thought he could make a spot, but he did.
Because the race went extra laps, he passed David Reagan there. Well, while Jimmy's left to answer the what happened question, Kevin Harvick is driven in to the winner's circle for the first time in a long time. Victory Lane, presented by Tire Rack.
Oh! And a shower of suds, courtesy of Kevin's sponsor. We'll get over here and visit with Kevin. Hey, I got to ask you, at final restart, all you got is a slick racetrack, lots of oil dry, you're almost out of gas, and a fired-up Kyle Busch beside you. What are you thinking about?
Well, I thought we were, as crazy as this year has been for our Budweiser Chevy, I was just thinking about not overdriving the first corner, whether we were going to run out of gas or not, how far the 18 was going to drive it in, and then they were really quick to throw the caution and then just let us race through oil. So I don't know. I guess it's hard for them to be right. But I got to thank all the fans in Sprint, Budweiser Ream, Jimmy John's, Chevrolet, Akuma, Real Street, Bad Boy Buggies, Hunt Brothers, everybody who helps us. And thank you to all who have served this country. We wouldn't be able to do what we do today without that.
Amen. Certainly, brother. The weekend began with everyone talking about where you're going to be in 2014, but let's talk about what this means to end the RCR drought, and a drought for you in Victory Lane that's been over a year.
Well, it has been a struggle for the year, and it has been an interesting weekend to say the least. But I know that these guys all want to win. I know Richards wants to win, and regardless of what happens in 14, we got the end of this year, and we got all of next year. So we want to win races, and we want to be competitive, and that's what we're here to do.
Congratulations. Well done.
Thank you.
Kevin Harvick back in Victory Lane, and a 38-race winless streak for Richard Childress Racing is over. And what a finish here as Kevin gives his wife Delana and son Keelan a kiss. Alan?
So interesting. The weekend, Kevin Harvick in the news on Saturday. The report from ESPN's Marty Smith that he would leave this team for Stewart Haas Racing after next season. And then for the first time in a long time, Harvick and Richard Childress Racing wind up in Victory Lane at the end of a bizarre race. If the finishing order doesn't change, NASCAR going to go back as always and review the final results. If things stay as they are now, Brad Keselowski goes to the final race next Sunday with a 20-point lead. And even if Jimmy Johnson gets max points, Brad can win the championship with a finish of 15th or better next Sunday at Homestead. The season finale on ESPN next weekend beginning at 1:30 Eastern Time. And of course, tickets to join us at the racetrack and see a champion crowned. Final thoughts on what you saw today?
We don't have enough time for all of that, but congratulations, Kevin Harvick. I mean, taking a season that's been pretty miserable by their standards and bringing it home. Kyle Busch once again just dominating a race, and then Brad Keselowski, his first championship in Sprint Cup Series right there before him.
Yeah, I didn't see this coming. When we came into this, we thought it was going to be these two just going at it and going for the win here today. But we saw all the stuff we saw from action on the track and off the track. It was a wild one.
Everyone from third place down eliminated from the championship. Going to the next weekend, it's either going to be Keselowski or Johnson at Homestead. Let's see, we had today the five-time champ hit the wall and put a severe hurting on his championship chances. We had a fight. We had a green-white checker finish. We had a guy who's been in the news for leaving a team after another year and change win the race. And we set up the season finale for next weekend. Speaking of season finales, the Automobile Club of Southern California NHRA Finals at 7 Eastern tonight on ESPN2. And next weekend we crown champions in the NASCAR Nationwide Series on Saturday with the Ford EcoBoost 300, 4 Eastern Time ESPN. And then the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series, Ford EcoBoost 400, next Sunday starting at 1:30 Eastern on ESPN. There is a lot to talk about from today's Phoenix race, and we'll do more on SportsCenter coming up next from here at Phoenix International Raceway. Mayhem, chaos, championship altering. And I could go on and on, but I'm out of time. The end result, Brad Keselowski with a pretty decent lead in the championship going to the finale next week, and Kevin Harvick celebrating with Richard Childress in Victory Lane at Phoenix. SportsCenter is next.